Motion-
Dan,
Oop, Sorry,
Oh.
Dorothea.
yep, we're still early.
Oh,
Daniel,
we are. Another minute. Yep, you're right.
Dan, I'll need you to start the transcript,
Sure.
not giving me the option.
How's that?
We'll see.
Here.
Yeah, I can see that it's been enabled.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Dorothea, now we know the difference between a co-host and a host.
That's right. You have
Yeah.
all the power tonight, Dan.
Is that a good idea?
All right, we are 6:30.
Okay, I make a motion to open the meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Yep. Trustee Keating,
Aye.
trustee Lampier,
Lanfear, aye.
trustee Lightgib,
Aye.
trustee Stetser. We have a square.
I know, we're not seeing Renee. We're not hearing Renee.
Hi, sorry, I was just handed my dinner.
Okay, Mayor Plummer.
Aye. Bon
Motion
appetit,
passed.
Renee. Okay. Any of the trustees this evening have any conflict of interest or anything to disclose relative to the agenda items before us?
Lanfear, I do not.
Stetser does not.
Like Eb, I do not.
Keating, I do not.
Plummer, I do not. And if there were any conflicts or of interest, then we would have that trustee or the mayor, in my case, recuse themselves. Dorothea, would you please proceed with reading the open meeting compliance certification?
I would love to do that, but that note is at work. See, I'm home. But
The
I will-
highlights.
I'll go over the highlights. Public is allowed to comment on one agenda item at a time, unless the board allows. There will be public comment additionally allowed at the end. I request that everybody just be nice to each other. It's one of my favorite comments. If you have questions for the board on any individual agenda items, please put them in the Q&A. I don't check the chat screen. So we'll go from there, and I'll read it twice next time, I promise. Okay, maybe not.
Okay, thank you so much. Before we begin tonight, I just want to read very quickly, but heartfelt, an expression of thanks. And this is on behalf of our village. I would like to thank Mary Morawski, our treasurer of 22 years. Although Mary submitted her resignation to retire at the end of 2019, she had stayed on for the last 2 years to facilitate the transition without formal reappointment. And last year, we were fortunate to hire a deputy treasurer, and Mary is finally ready to start her long deferred and her well-deserved official retirement. And we are very grateful for Mary's longstanding service to our village, and we all wish her every happiness in this next chapter of her life. Thanks so much, Mary.
Here, here.
And okay, let's dive in here with our department reports, please. Building inspector report. We had copies of that, and if there are any questions for Zach. Hi, Zach.
For Steve, you meant. You said
Steve.
Oh,
building
what did I say? I'm
inspector.
sorry, I saw-
That's
yeah.
okay. Zach
I
is
skipped
here.
down
but-
for Steve.
Oh.
Hi, Steve. How could I
Zach,
skip Steve?
yeah, Zach's got a new title.
I know, evidently. Yeah, you guys can swap. There you go. Any questions for Steve? Well, you were very thorough. Okay. Anything to
Steve, my
add,
own-
Steve? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Steve, my only question for you was not on your report, and we had talked about getting a list of the code changes that we wanted to kind of group together for review. I can't imagine it's done right now. Maybe we could set a date. I'm not here at the next meeting, so maybe we could do it 2 meetings from now.
All
What do
right,
you
what, just to kind of keep you updated, Dan, we kind of chose, and I mean, there's 2 members from each board that are going to be initially reviewing the list. All right, I have sent out an email trying to find out if we can all meet next Thursday. There are a couple of members already that I reached out to, said they could meet next Thursday at 4:30 to do an initial rollover of the lists from Justin and myself. And if anybody else has any other suggestions prior to that, I would like them emailed to me. But at this point, I'm trying to schedule next Thursday evening, right after work, for a meeting to do the initial discussion of the proposed changes.
Great. Can you set a target to report 2 meetings from now?
Yes, that would, I think that would be fine.
Great, thanks.
I do have a couple of things kind of to update the board on a few things. I reached out to Charles Corby in regards to the house out back, and obviously as soon as he called me back, he said, I know exactly what you are calling about. But due to COVID and people restrictions, things like that, he bought the materials to secure the home, but has not had anybody able to do it. And then the weather hit, and obviously you're not climbing up on a roof right now to do this, but he promised me as soon as there's a break in the weather that the house will be secured. I also reached out and had a very nice visit with Mrs. Powers in regards to the barns in Shade Place. She says they cannot afford to do anything with them, so they are still looking at offloading them or having an entity buy them. Unfortunately, their counsel right now has a health issue and is in a hospital. He was the one working on the deal. She said as soon as they can, they're going to continue working on that to hopefully get somebody else to buy those barns and then do something with that area.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Oh, I thought it was a question. Any other questions for Steve? Okay. We'll move on. Now, the DPW report. Hello again, Zach. Any questions for Zach? Oh, I saw there, Renee, yes.
It's me. Zach, in your report, it said 143 overtime hours between the 15th of January and the 5th of February for all the snow removal on the streets, the sidewalks, salting, all of that kind of stuff. Is that normal for this time of year, or?
Not in such a short span of time. I mean, it's not unheard of that we get big storms and it takes lots of time to do the work, but it's a pretty heavy number for us. Everybody was pretty tired. I think the last pay period, everybody had at least 22 hours of overtime. And the higher end was around 27.
Yeah, and it was such an unusual storm. I think, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't it like it snowed 41 hours straight or 40, something like that?
Yeah, sounds about right. I don't know, kind of lose track of time after a while.
You don't want to remember it.
No.
Yeah, well, you really all did a great job. I mean, it was really just back to back, unbelievably long shifts. And my compliments to the crew, my thanks, really. Thanks from all of us.
Thank
You know, one thing is, Steve, maybe you want to weigh in on this too. You know, we have had questions about salting, you know, because we've had such strange weather. It's been icy cold and then warming and thawing and then refreezing. Steve, would you had done some research on that about salting sidewalks in New York State?
Well, I did research and to find out that actually the homeowner is technically responsible for the sidewalk on their property. It is not, it's a courtesy. I mean, it's nice that the village does it, but in New York State, the law is that the homeowner is responsible for the clearing and keeping that area safe on their own property. They also are responsible to clear the fire hydrant if it exists on their property.
Okay, that's helpful, but, I mean, with that being said, Zach, I know you and the crew have been out there, where you see some dangerous areas, you're there with the salt and you're really trying to facilitate as best you can.
Yeah, as we can't get the whole village. It would just it wouldn't make sense for us to go around and salt everything. So we hit the prone areas for it. We know where those are and we monitor them as we go through. And as other calls come in, we'll respond to those also.
And can I ask one more question? It's about the sidewalks, because I know it's been a very challenging season. And I know that with all that snow, like you all go out, you do the sidewalks, and then the street plows come by at high speeds, and particularly on the arterial roads, which is where most of our foot traffic is. And then the snow goes right back on the sidewalk. So how do you all do that? I know it's been tricky because they keep it, then it turns to slush. And then it freezes and then you can't get the plow back out. So we've had a lot of questions about that just because it's been a weird season.
It gets to a point where the plow is no longer effective. All the snow just falls back in behind you because the walls become so high. So that's when we go out with the blowers, and it's a much slower process. Typically maybe 1.5 miles, an hour to get, pushing through the snow without the snow blowers getting plugged up. And it's a constant battle with the road plows pushing snow onto the sidewalks and then us going back through and cleaning them out. Same with the driveway contractors. They'll go through and none of them get out of their truck to shovel off the sidewalks after they get buried. So we'll get something clean and then have to go back around and clean it up again, and then go back around and clean it up again. So until the point where we're actually removing the snow and throwing it into the back of a truck with the snow blowers or with a loader and hauling it out. So it's just kind of a rinse and repeat type of situation where it just goes until we're caught up to a point where we feel good about it.
It's snow, you're doing the best you can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially when it snows for 2 days straight, it doesn't end, and you get around to the start again, and you just turn right back around and start over and just keep going and going and going.
Thank you. Any other questions, or Zach, oh, yes, Dan?
Yeah, so it's not a question as much as a comment for the rest of the trustees and the folks on the call. We did have a safety committee meeting with Zach and Joan and Doug from the DPW, and I'm not going to give you all the things that we talked about, but just know they came to the table with a whole lot of good ideas about things they can do to improve training, things they can do to improve processes, things they can do to improve sort of checklists and communication, different insurance plans, inspections. There were a lot of good ideas, and we have good plans to execute on them. We can go into detail if you want, but I just did want you to all to know that they came with ideas. They're good ones, and we'll follow through. Some of them are going to require budget, and we'll talk about that at budget time, but some of them were immediate and can be implemented right away. And there's some really terrific stuff going on in that regard, and in a spirit of continuous improvement as well.
Yeah, thanks for that, Dan. And actually, we'll be circling back, as things sort of move forward. We've only had just couple meetings really. So, at some point there'll be a report back to the board just in terms of where we're at. Anything else on that? Anything you want to add, Zach? You good?
No, I'm good.
Good. Okay. Thanks so much for that.
Yep.
Jeff isn't here yet, but actually I don't know if everybody's seen it yet. It came in late. He just sent just a quick email with an update on a court case to the trustees, just for your review. And also on a New York State condemnation award. It's a financial award. We're trying to sort out where the property lines are and what that does mean. It is related to NICE work going forward at some point in the spring. So if we do have questions for him, we can ask him when he comes on board. Next up, the treasurer's report. Oh, there's Brooklyn.
Give them a minute.
Yeah.
There he is.
Hello, hello. Yeah, I had to connect the AirPods. Didn't want the
Those
terrible sound
earpods.
coming through from, yeah. Didn't want the
Brooklyn.
sound coming through from just the regular
Brooklyn.
microphone. Hello. So this was a pretty basic report this week, and nothing major to report. We did have a few typos by me, which I reviewed, highlighted, and those will be updated. I do want to note there was one blank spot that was missing a ledger. I did confirm with Zach where that belongs, so that will be filled in, completed, and I'll send out another copy of that. But other than that, were there any questions on the report?
There wasn't. I didn't see any call outs on any of the checks. Everything's standard.
Yeah, pretty standard. With us having 2 meetings a month, we can get everything out and on time. So everything's pretty much a standard release.
And thank you for your big effort on helping with the sewer rents and getting things out. You know, I think we've had some pretty good returns so far on those.
Yeah, I haven't done a count, but I can tell the people that if you did send yours in, most likely you will be seeing it come out this weekend. Been quite a busy week with those from people coming in on foot traffic and via mail, but those should be coming out your account soon. I know people don't like to have outstanding checks for too long, so we're definitely working on making sure all those get deposited.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to approve the vouchers.
I make a motion to approve the vouchers
As presented.
as presented.
Is there a second?
Lanfear, second.
Okay, roll call. Trustee Lickett,
Aye.
trustee Stetser,
Aye.
trustee Lanfear,
Lanfear, I.
trustee Keating,
Heating eye.
Mayor Plummer.
Plummer, I.
Motion passes.
Thank you. And the village clerk report, please.
I really don't have anything for the clerk's office. I did have financial review on here, and I kind of put it with the discussion of revenue surplus or overages, because I figured it can be addressed during the whole time period. So it's a good point to not to hit it twice. So I saved it till then. So we can go ahead and move on.
Okay, something to look forward to.
Hey,
Thank you. All right, then we have the minutes that are up. Are there any corrections on the minutes, or have we already given those to Dorothea?
and I apologize, those were late coming, just trying to squeeze everything into the packet, and by the time everything landed.
No? Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make a
Yes.
motion to approve the January 11th meetings minutes as presented.
Second.
Roll call, trustee Stetser,
Aye.
trustee Lampier,
Lanfear, I.
trustee Keating.
Abstain. I
Okay,
didn't have a chance to review those.
Okay, trustee Lickett,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Plummer, I.
motion passes. Thank you.
Moving on to meeting items, the cannabis referendum follow-up. First of all, I really want to give a big thank you to Dorothea. Our village clerk ran an incredibly smooth election. I also want to thank the election inspectors. They were wonderful. And also the county for really helping us and providing the machines and helping to get things set up. I think we had a really good turnout, and I'm really glad we were able to hear from the public. Dorothea, do you have those vote counts? Do you have a bit of an update? If not, I do, because I know we were originally going to be at Village Hall, and now we're
No, I
home.
was gonna be at Village Hall and I'm home. I will say that I don't have any change in the numbers at this point. We're still verifying the affidavit ballots. I have to speak with Monroe County. There's some concern on one of them. Outside of that, the vote counts are the same as posted. I haven't received any more absentees. And to be honest, just so the board is aware, there was 24 absentee ballots issued. We got 20 in of the absentee ballots, which is pretty impressive. There's only really 4 ballots out there, so I don't anticipate that affecting the count. Unless one of the ballots voted 100 times, it would take a big push to change those numbers. So I think we're set with the numbers pretty close. I will finalize and certify the numbers next Tuesday after the mail is received.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Dan?
So I have a statement that I wanted to read about this. Should just take a couple minutes. To the residents of the village, the cannabis referendum on dispensaries and lounges was this past Tuesday. It was a tremendous success. I am thankful to all who voted. Your voice was heard and the trustees won't opt back into retail cannabis at this time. More than anything, no matter the outcome, I'm glad that the residents had a vote and a voice. There were a lot of reasons not to do this referendum and a lot of resistance to it. Many people felt we shouldn't do it. Even people on this board pushed against it and voted against it. But in my mind, it was the right thing to do. When I look at this board, only one person has been on it for more than 4 years. These boards cycle, and they should. Leadership should change hands. One of the reasons that I supported Mayor Plummer in her campaign was she pledged to work on term limits, and I'll hold her to that. I'm talking about the referendum now because I want to leave a message for future boards of trustees. When a challenging, complex, major, or new issue comes before you, put it to a vote by the people. Get your ego out of the way and listen to what the people want. Our job is to do the will of the people, whether we agree with it or not. Not a small segment of the people, not the ones who show up to the meetings, not our own personal beliefs, not those of our friends, but the overall wants of the villagers and its stakeholders. We're there to serve, not to force our wills or our visions. This cannabis vote was that service-oriented leadership in action. Of course, not everything should be put to a village-wide vote. The voters of the village entrust us to represent them on the day-to-day work of the village, taxes, road maintenance, planning and zoning, sewers, etc. But retail cannabis is not the regular day-to-day decision. It is a complex issue, a big change. It's also a new issue. We've never faced it before. When I ran for office twice and knocked on thousands of doors, not once did anyone ask me where I stood on retail cannabis in the village. It wasn't an issue even 3 years ago. No one voted for me or for any of us on this board, knowing what our stance on it would be. So how could we make a decision on their behalf? In the most complex of issues, villagers should have a say, not the 5 of us. I implore future boards to take this position and know that it was painful to make the referendum happen. It was a headache. People on both sides fought it. It disappointed a lot of people. It cost money, but we made it happen quickly and effectively. We changed the default language of the referendum to simplify it, so people clearly knew what they were voting for or against. We coordinated with the County Board of Elections. Some of our staff had to work extra hours, and we thank them for that. We had to get the word out quickly. All of this takes a lot of work. At every turn, there was resistance, but most of us stayed focused on doing this for the people, and I stand behind it that it was the right thing to do. In a spirit of constant improvement, the one area we could have done better was communication. It's clear we truly did not get the word out. Voting was down almost 40% over what we normally get for a trustees or mayoral election. We have to do better in that regard. Ultimately, I'm glad we did this. Now we know what the villagers want right now. I'm asking that future boards do the same. When there is a big decision before the board, truly ask what all of the people want. It is fundamental to the job. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Dan. I'd like to add on the communication. We were at Village Hall on Tuesday. Dorothea, about 12 and a half or 13 hours, I'd say
Something like
roughly. And I had a wonderful opportunity to connect with residents coming and going as they were voting. And the feedback I received from so many residents was they were grateful for the communication and appreciated it and felt that they understood when the referendum was, what was on the referendum, and they were happy to vote. I think there were other factors in place that were in addition to what you are citing as the communication issue. That is, it's winter, we have snowbirds, we have COVID. It was an off-cycle election, and I think we had an extraordinary turnout, and all of the election inspectors felt the same way. I appreciate your thoughts and I agree with so many of your thoughts, but on that, I think it's multifactorial. It was not just about communication. So thank you. Did you want to hear the, I'm just going to read the votes very quickly, just so the public, if people don't know what the votes were. For the first question, proposal 1, shall the Village of Pittsford allow retail cannabis dispensaries to locate and operate within the boundaries of the Village of Pittsford? The yes votes were 98 and the no votes were 143. For proposal 2, shall the Village of Pittsford allow on-site cannabis consumption establishments, to locate and operate within the boundaries of the Village of Pittsford? Yes, 75 votes, and no, 166 votes. And those votes also included the electoral ballots that had been, or excuse me, the absentee ballots that had been received to date. Dorothea, was there anything else you wanted to add about the election?
It went smooth. I was happy with the way it turned out. I can't thank the inspectors enough, and I'm happy to turn elections back over to Monroe County.
Thank you. You did a great job.
Thank you.
Okay, well, it's not quite 7 o'clock yet. Maybe we should just skip over and go to the non-municipal use permit for Pittsford Food Tours.
Sure. This is a non-municipal food tour we've had, and someone can, the board can correct me, I believe 3 years or 4 years. It's pretty close. They were hoping to move forward this year. She had applied last year. We held back. We didn't require her to have her insurance up front because she didn't know she'd be able to operate, and she's requesting the same thing. She has no problem getting it, and you know, that being part of the condition of approval. Last year she was not able to operate. So that is the one request she is asking. So this is a continued non-municipal we've issued in the past, and I don't believe there's been any problems with it.
Okay. Yes, Lily?
I will make a motion to approve the non-municipal use permit being requested by Pittsford Food Tours with the condition that she applies for and demonstrates her insurance prior to the building inspector or village clerk giving her permit to operate.
Okay,
second
Oh,
that.
Jeff has to add
yeah,
to that.
we do have a second from trustee Keating, and yes, our attorney wishes to speak.
Don't we have to waive the 45 days?
I don't think so.
No, because she doesn't usually kick off till like May,
June.
June.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Late spring.
never mind.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Stetser,
Aye.
trustee Lightgib,
Aye.
trustee Lampier,
Lanfear, aye.
trustee Keating,
Hi,
Mayor Plummer.
Plummer, aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
there's a, Dorothea, there's a question on the referendum in the Q&A if you want to read
Oh,
that.
I missed it. So sorry.
Oh, thanks.
Okay.
And
Mr.
I
Pierce?
have an answer to it.
Mr. Pierce comments that correct to say that only 17%, 241 out of 1,400 of the village residents voted on cannabis referendum. How can one trustee call the referendum a tremendous success? P.S. If by success that it was well run, I agree, and hates of to all the hand that had a hand in running the referendum.
So the answer to the first question, it was asked and answered it was addressed in the statement I read. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Oh, we still have 2 minutes to go. Why don't we go down to designating June? Yeah. Was there
Okay.
something?
You were lost. We lost you when you went off.
Oh, sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, Elisa, when you turn your head to read, the microphone doesn't pick you
Oh,
up.
I'm sorry. Thanks for pointing that out. I didn't realize that. Thank you. Here, I'll just look straight down here. Why don't we skip down to agenda item number 6, designating Juneteenth as a village holiday? As you know, the Biden administration declared this a national holiday, and I think it's important that we would consider this as well in our village and recognize Juneteenth. Are any thoughts, any discussion? Yes,
Agreed.
Lily?
Can we share and discuss the information that was received from our attorney regarding what the trustees may want to consider as they discuss as a holiday for the village, what it means in terms of a day off, how, what if it falls on a Sunday,
Right.
union versus non-union.
Mhm.
I think we need to talk about those so that those are clear to everyone before we vote, if that is
Well,
acceptable to the board.
I do think we could certainly designate it as a holiday, just to recognize, in fact, that it is a holiday in our village. And then, my thought was, because I haven't had a chance to fully review his letter, that we bring it back to the board and then we really work this out in terms of our holiday schedule for the coming years and how that would look. But, at this point, I think, I would just want to vote to recognize Juneteenth. And then we would, come back. I agree with you. We need to sort it out because we are dealing with other moving parts with this.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the clarification. Thank you that I was requesting, so that what we are discussing as a board this evening is recognition of Juneteenth, but not as an official, if you will, village holiday at this time until we have had a chance to review how this affects our staff and our
our holiday calendar and
our
everything
holiday
going
calendar.
forward. Yeah, everything going forward,
Okay.
so, yeah. Justin, did you have your hand up or were you?
I did. I agree with Trustee Lanfear's comments. I think that I would appreciate more discussion before going to the extent of declaring it a paid holiday. I would also like to see a list of what the paid holidays are right now so that we can, for my own information, even if others are already aware of those, just so that we can see everything in front of us at the same time. But I also support the idea of recognizing this date without going to the extent of declaring it a paid holiday.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with that too. I mean, I think that was, that's already been stated. So I would entertain a motion that our village recognizes Juneteenth as a holiday.
I did just want to make one comment.
Yep, sure.
I do think it should be recognized as a across the village holiday. I'd be ready to vote on that today. I don't know what else there is to discuss, but so just wanted to publicly take a different stance.
Thank you. I do think there are a number of working parts because we do have union contracts and there's specified number of holidays and whether they're paid or not. And that was what was Lily was referring to in this letter, and as I said, I haven't had a chance to really look at it. The recognition of it as a holiday, I think, is important. And I think it's important that we show our support of it as well. And then we can iron out those details, I think, in another meeting. And I agree with Justin that, we take a look at all of our holidays, which ones are paid, which ones are not, all of that. That's something that we do actually every single year. So that's going to be coming up as well. Is there a
Therefore,
motion?
Make a motion that the Village of Pittsford recognizes Juneteenth as in recognition on that date. It's June 15th, is it not?
It's June 19th.
June 19th. June 19th, sorry. And that is my motion.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Okay, Trustee Keating,
Aye.
Trustee Lampier,
Lanfear, aye.
Trustee Lightgib,
Aye.
Trustee Stetser,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Plummer, aye.
motion passes.
Okay, that was great. Okay, it is just a little bit after 7. Why don't we move back up on our agenda to our public hearings? And the first one up is the proposed special permit for 19 South Main Street, the hair salon. Dorothea?
Yep, let me see if Miss Wyland is here. If you are, please raise your hand. I'm not seeing her hand.
Probably home taking care of her newborn baby.
I imagine that's it. I'm going to question the attorney. Can we move on without her presence?
I would be much happier if she'd allowed us to do that. You know, that we knew she wanted us to proceed.
She,
That, re-
she, go, I'm sorry, Jeff, go finish.
no, it's just, my general rule is that we can proceed in the applicant's absence, but only if they've really authorized us to and understand the parameters of that situation.
Steve has raised his hand.
Yep.
Yeah, and she was before the board before, and then is coming back with this. Yes, Steve.
Yeah, she definitely wants to move forward. I mean, she's got the place ready. The only thing that delayed her was having the baby in between, but I spoke to her last week. I don't know why she's not here tonight, whether she, forgot or whatever about the meeting, but she definitely wants or is hoping to get board approval to move forward with her business.
We have one caller who's on the phone. I don't know if that's her. Do we want to maybe unmute that person? We also have one that is just listed as resident.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
see
know.
that. I'm going to unmute the caller and just ask the question if it, sir? Miss Wyland, is this you? Nope. Steve, do you happen to have her number to try to call her?
Should be on the application.
It should be on the application,
Yeah.
Dorothy. If you text it to me, I'll reach out while you guys are taking care of other business.
I will take a look for it. My copy is redacted. Of
Oh,
course.
we're redacted, yeah.
Yeah, I will make a look in my email real quick.
Okay.
Jeff
Yeah.
is raising. his hand.
Yeah,
Why don't you make any motion without prejudice to her right to come back if she feels that's appropriate?
yeah. I like that, so we can move this forward for her. And yeah,
And if she feels a need to
Mhm.
add more information or somehow supplement any approval that you might grant, she would have that right to come back and address the board on that basis.
I think that's a fair way to go, so we're not holding her up either, Anybody want to entertain a motion for an approval? Yes, Lily?
I might do that, but I just had one question and Steve might be able to answer it. That's the only reason I would want the applicant here is because, and just in case we had any questions for her. Did I understand this previously? And I'm sorry if my memory is faulty, that this salon is being operated as two separate businesses. She has not broken through the wall in that building. Is that correct, Steve?
Yes, that is correct. These are two
Okay.
separate business with some different functions, different
Okay.
services.
Okay, that's fine. That answers my question, and I thank you for that. So that being said, I will make a motion to approve the special use permit requested for, I'm looking for the
Lily, don't
address.
we need to open the hearing first?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Right.
For
Make a
18
motion to
South.
open the hearing. Oh,
Jeff.
Jeff's waving frantically.
Okay,
Does
sorry, Jeff.
this need two special permits then if it's two businesses, Steve?
She already has one.
No,
Oh,
no, it's
okay.
just an
All right.
additional business, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah, this is a new business that's just adjacent to an existing business she has.
Right.
Yeah.
So at 18 South Main Street in the village of Pittsford.
19.
Oh, I thought she had 18 on
It's
the,
Is it 18? I see 19
I believe
on
it's
the agenda.
18.
No, I put 19 on the agenda. That is my error.
Oh,
I
18.
corrected it and it's 18.
okay.
Thank you. Okay.
Everything was posted correctly. That was just on the packet.
Okay.
Okay, so it is 18 South Main Street.
Do we need to open the hearing first? We still
We're
haven't
opening
done
the-
that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah,
Did
that
you
would
make-
be
oh,
excellent.
I
Thank
thought
you,
were gonna
Renee.
open the hearing.
That's okay. That's okay. Then I'll hand it back. I'll make a
Huge
motion
point
to
of order.
open-
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to open the hearing do I have to say why? For each
Second.
one? Okay,
No, you don't.
okay, good.
Oh, there's, yes, Dan.
So I do just want to note that Lily, to the point that you raised about the door in between them, we did ask her that when she was
Okay.
before
Was
us
here
the last
before.
time, and she did confirm that that was not the case. two
Okay,
separate
I couldn't
entrances.
remember. Thank you.
Just wanted to make sure that was on the record.
Thanks, Dan.
All right,
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Roll call, please.
sure. Trustee Lampier,
Lanfear, aye.
trustee Stetser,
Aye.
trustee Keating,
Aye.
trustee Lightgib,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Or aye.
motion passes.
I will reintroduce the motion. Or we're going to have discussion first with the,
Well, we'd like to hear from the public.
from the public.
Yes.
That's what I mean.
Yes.
Is there
if-
anyone anybody?
Well, there's another caller. Steve, did you get her?
I don't have I've been looking
Okay.
through my emails and stuff, Dan. I don't have a contact number.
Okay.
And anyone wishing to speak, or are there any questions in the box?
I got no hands raised and I got nothing in Q&A at this moment.
Okay. It's a public hearing, so any motion, I'd entertain a motion to close the hearing and bring it back to the board.
I'll make a
There-
motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call, trustee Lightgib,
Aye.
trustee Lampier,
Lanfear, aye.
trustee Keating,
Aye.
trustee Stetser,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Plummer, aye.
motion passes.
Okay, it's back to the board. Justin, do you have your hand up with anything? Or
Yeah, I was just going to mention in terms of bringing in the phone callers, I think that Dorothea, when you brought them in, they still have to type *6 to unmute themselves. It looked like they were still muted. So I just wanted to make that comment in case anybody's brought in, have them hit *6 on their keypad on the phone and that should unmute them if you want to try
Thank you
that.
for letting me know. I've never called into one of these, so I have no clue what they have to do. I should try it. Might have happened tonight.
Okay, this is back to the board. Any further comments on this, or I'll entertain another motion?
I think Lily's up now.
That's right, Lily, you're on deck.
Thank you. I will make a motion to approve the special use permit for 18 South Main Street in the village of Pittsford.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call, trustee Keating,
Aye.
trustee Stetser,
Aye.
trustee Lightgib,
Aye.
trustee Lampier,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Plummer, aye.
motion passes.
Okay, great. Next up,
Yeah, I will reach out, I will reach out to her tomorrow and let her know where things stand.
okay, thank you. Thanks for that, Steve. That's great. Thank you. Okay, next up, Dorothea, it's if you could read this for the group.
The next one, the next public hearing is the board to consider amending chapter 184 of the Code of Village of Pittsburgh to allow an exemption for the volunteer fire and ambulance workers. And you've been given the local law.
And do we have our friends here from the fire department tonight? I think some of them are going to try to join us.
Mr. Payne is here. I
Oh, great.
can allow him to speak if the board would like.
I will make a motion to open the public hearing then.
I'll
On
second.
local
Okay,
law,
okay,
Okay,
on the proposed local law, 184. Amending chapter 184 of the Code of the Village of Pittsford.
okay. Roll call, trustee Lampier,
Lanfear, aye.
trustee Lightgib,
Aye.
trustee Stetser,
Aye.
trustee Keating,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Plummer, aye.
Okay, and we'll allow Mr. Payne to speak.
Hi, Chief Payne.
Oh, shoot, I promoted him to panelist. I'm off my game tonight. He should be coming back in.
Okay.
There he is.
Okay, and unmute.
You should be allowed to speak.
Yes.
Good evening. Welcome,
Hi, Matt.
How you doing? Thanks for having us.
Tim.
So myself, Chief Payne, and our Vice President and past Chief, Tom Haggerty. So we will entertain any questions, or if you have any questions on the motion, or if you want me to go through it, I'd be glad to do anything here for you. So
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm hoping everybody's had a chance to take a look at it. I think it's a nice idea. I think it's great. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, this, right now it affects 7 firefighters, 7 households in our village, I believe.
yeah, so 7 active
Okay.
members, for which were past chiefs. So 7 very active members of our department who currently live in the village. So
Great. And I think this is a nice way to support our firefighters here.
yeah, we are always struggling with recruitment and retention. So I think promoting this is a good thing for our organization. And we're coming up on 125 years of a volunteer organization for the village and town. So continuing that tradition would be excellent.
Wow, that's impressive. That's amazing, really. The public hearing is open. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak?
Raise your hand, or you can put your question in the Q&A and I will get it from there.
Not hearing anything.
They're very quiet tonight.
Oh,
That's always good.
yeah, quiet's good, right?
It's good.
Okay. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
There's a second.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call. Trustee Lightgib,
Aye.
Trustee Stetser,
Aye.
Trustee Keating,
Aye.
Trustee Lampier,
Lanfear, aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Plummer, aye. There's no further discussion from the board or any questions for our friends from the fire department. I'll entertain a motion to pass this proposed local law.
So
I will
moved.
make that motion unless somebody else spoke and I didn't hear them. I apologize.
I'll second. How's that?
There we go.
Okay.
All right, roll call. Trustee Keating,
Aye.
Trustee Lampier,
Lanfear, aye.
Trustee Stetser,
Aye.
Trustee Lightgib,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Plummer, aye.
Motion passes.
Hey,
Wonderful.
Matt, and
Yes.
other than this, is there anything we can do for you now that we have you right in front of us here? Anything come to mind?
No, and the same goes to you. The doors are open. So if any of you want to learn more about our organization, and it'd be great to have you around. So,
Keep the lines of communication open.
right.
That's a very good thing. I support that 100%. Great to see you both. Thanks so much for all you do. Say
Thanks,
hi to the
y'all.
rest of the gang.
Yes, thank you for your support.
Thanks.
Yep.
Okay. Dorothea, the final public hearing.
Yes, the next public hearing for the board to consider the adoption of a proposed local law to override the tax levy limit established by General Municipal Law 3-C.
Okay, this is, I know that this has come before the board every year and it's considered to be best practice by NICOM and strongly recommended for village municipalities. Are there any further thoughts or comments or discussion?
No, I will make a motion to open the public hearing.
There were some further thoughts or comments. I just
Okay.
wanted to take that a little farther than what you said, Elisa.
Sure.
You're absolutely right. And it's recommended whether we use it or not.
Yes,
That was
thank
the
you.
important part so it
Good clarification.
doesn't mean we're raising taxes. It's
Right.
just in place. So,
Yeah, thank you, Dan. That was a
Yeah.
great clarification. And we have a motion before us to open the public hearing. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call. Trustee Stetser,
Aye.
Trustee Lampier,
Lanfear, aye.
Trustee Lightgib,
Aye.
Trustee Keating,
aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Plummer, aye.
Motion passes.
Is there anyone wishing to speak from the public?
Please raise your hand or put your question in Q&A and I'll be happy to grab it there.
Maybe they're all playing Wordle. I don't know. Okay,
We have full attendance tonight too.
oh, that's great. Okay, well, I'll entertain a motion then to close the public hearing. Excuse me.
So moved.
Thanks for stepping up, Lily.
Anytime.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay,
Okay, roll call. Trustee Lightgib,
Aye.
trustee Keating,
Aye.
trustee Stetser,
Aye.
trustee Lampier,
Lanfear, aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Plummer, aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Sorry,
I'll
I have a dog barking. My apologies.
Oh, no problem. Okay. I have a clock chiming every hour. Sorry about that, but it's an analog world in this room. Okay, so I will entertain a motion regarding the proposed law before us. Lily,
I will make a motion to approve proposed local law to consider the adoption to adopt the override of the tax levy limit established by General Municipal Law 3-C.
thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay,
All
thank
right,
you.
roll call. Trustee Keating,
Aye.
trustee Lampier,
Lanfear, aye.
trustee Lightgib,
Aye.
trustee Stetser,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Plummer, aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, next up, we have item number 4. This is SRF, excuse me, the median design for State Street. I think you've all received the proposal. And I hope you've all had a chance to look at it. Just to give some background on this, this was considered to be part of the active transportation plan a while back. It was actually, I believe, Renee, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't going to be a little further up State Street. You know, it's going to be a little further into the village.
It was a suggestion. It wasn't fully.
Yeah, it wasn't, it's
Yeah,
conceptual, I
yeah,
would say. Yeah,
to do something at the gateways.
right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, because the overall goal with the gateways coming into our village would be to create something of a visual cue to for traffic to slow down coming into a densely populated area. So this is an opportunity. I reached out to Supervisor Smith of the town. We walked down there to the town and village line and discussed how we could maybe implement a narrow median at the town line coming into the village. And I think many of you know, there's sort of a little bit of a curve there. The line of sight is a little bit difficult sometimes for cars and with cars backing out of driveways with residents there on State Street. So this is an opportunity for both of our municipalities to work together. And Supervisor Smith has said, if you folks come up with a plan and design it, we'll pay to build it on the town side. So I think this is a wonderful opportunity to implement this part of our joint active transportation plan. And this is what's before us now. It's just to start out conceptually. Let's get a drawing going. Let's talk to the residents on State Street. Let's talk to our emergency responders about this. Make sure that all the pieces are in place and move this forward. Any thoughts on this project or the proposal before you?
So the proposal before us is to have SRF do the study.
Yep.
Of the design. And so we would, the village would cover the cost of that. And then the town would help. How can you go over again if we do?
Yeah,
decide to-
if we pay for the design right now, it's around $6,500. The town would pay for the cost of the median because it would be at the town line there. And that is about 20, well, now with costs, it's hard to say, but roughly about 20 to maybe 24,000 to put that in. We did discuss it even relative to, you know, ARPA funds and improvements like that. And the town has received well over $1 million in ARPA funding. And, you know, the supervisor felt that this was a nice fit for use of those types for that type of funding. So we're in for 6,500 and they're in for a bit more, and we can get the project completed.
you.
Yep. Lily?
Could we identify which budget line we would be withdrawing the funds for this?
We could also draw it from our ARPA funds as well.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. Thank you.
yeah.
I would say though, it would go to the engineering line, A.
For this, yeah,
0.4.
that's true. It would be through engineering, you're right. But
Okay.
aren't we allowed to use some of our ARPA funds for that? For
I believe
engineering?
so. I believe
Yeah,
so.
in other words, I think you'd see it on the engineering line, but the funding would be through ARPA. Yes, Renee?
One more important point, and is that important point, sorry, I can't speak tonight, is that we are on a bit of a short timeline here to get the study done so that the project can be incorporated with the resurfacing that NISDOT will be doing starting in the spring. So it's a
Thank you,
pretty-
yeah.
Pretty short timeline here.
Yeah, we have to hop on this if we're going to do it. You're absolutely right. Thanks for bringing that up. That's important. Yes, Justin?
I just glanced down at the budget and my we just got that shortly before the meeting, but it seems like the A1440.4 engineering line, we appear to be over budget by $4,000 or so. Is that correct? And could we perhaps clarify what we should do about that if we're the budget was $5,000 and it seems like we're over by just over $4,000.
Yep, and I was going to address that when we got to it. We are overrunning that line. It's primarily Rand Street that has done that, and I will be bringing budget transfers to the board next meeting. I only got my hands really on the financials last night to be able to look at them to see, and I think hopefully in your packet, those overrun lines are shown in yellow, so I could point those out. I know exactly what the issues are, but I couldn't prepare budget transfers for you because I need a little bit more time to review the numbers. And as well as Rand Street would be ARPA as well. So my recommendation would be we have to amend the budget, expand it to allow the use of ARPA funds to pay those to increase those lines to cover those expenses. So we will make those adjustments, but that would be the appropriate line for the funding. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. Okay. I would entertain a motion to approve this proposal as presented.
Make a motion to approve the proposal from SRF to study the State Street median.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there, Jeff? Yeah, yeah.
And direct the mayor to sign, I think it's Schedule A. Anyway, there's a signature page that you ought to be,
Yeah.
the mayor should sign, and the motion should be to accept the contract and direct her to assign attachment A.
The motion's been amended. Renee, do you accept that?
Yes, I accept Jeff's amendments to my motion.
Yes, Dorothea, I'm sorry.
I'll
Is
wait
that
a
it?
second because we have comments from the public.
Oh, okay,
I'll
okay.
second.
Second, yes, okay. Comments?
Okay, Robert Corby, he commented, so glad you're moving forward with the proposal we developed as a plan on the active transportation plan. As we previously discussed, there are many examples where similar treatments have been successful. Art Pierce comments, very much appreciate the village and town advancing the development of study and plans for the construction of a medium at the eastern gateway to the village. Dave Marshall, of the total funds spent on the complete project, what is % paid by the village versus the town? Is there a standard percentage paid by the town for shared interest projects such as this?
Well, we're paying at this point about 6,500 and they're paying probably up to 25,000. So. we
And
can-
as for standards, it changes project to project.
Yeah, I don't know that there's specific percentages or not, but that's where we are now. And I think we have a good deal and I'm glad to be working with the town and getting their support. Any other comments, Dorothy? Oh, just, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to specifically ask our attorney, since he's here, about the the process of spending more money on a budget line item that we seem to already be over? Do we need to make a transfer before we continue spending money on that line item, or are we okay doing things in this order?
Your attorney does not know the answer to that question. I've never dealt with a budget. I've never done finances. That's more of an accounting issue, not a law issue.
I know it's been done that way in the past, and then it's been brought back to the board to amend the budget. But you know, and Lily, I think you can speak to that as well. We've done it that way in the past as well.
Yes, you could always make the motion contingent upon the transfer,
Yeah,
the budget transfer, in case, you know, you have to allow for all contingencies in case that vote would fail. You know, so I think that would be wise to make it contingent upon the transfer of the funds on that line.
Dorothea, yeah.
Also can suggest that the board use funds out of contingency account. If they wanted
Yeah.
to do it safely, I could transfer the funds out of contingency to cover the cost. If they didn't want to rely on the ARPA until we did that budget amendment to allow that use.
Yeah, that might be a better way to go. That's actually traditionally what we have done. Are there any other thoughts on that? We have a motion. Do we want to amend it? Again?
Would you like, it was Renee's motion.
It was my
perhaps you-
motion, so I will amend it to be, well, what are we, I think we're still discussing whether we prefer to do it from the contingency or if we would prefer to make it contingent upon the budget transfers. So we have two choices we need to make there before I amend my motion.
Yes, Dan.
I'm sorry, I have some food. I'd advocate for moving money into the engineering fund, because then you're keeping the actual expenses aligned with the relevant line item, which will help us in future budgets. If it's just in the contingency fund, we won't see really where it should have been.
And I misspoke. You never charge it to the contingency. You would transfer the money to
Okay.
the engineering line. That would be the proper budget transfer to be done.
Yeah, we would vote
So-
on transferring it to that line from.
And we can do
contingency.
that tonight, correct, Mayor Plummer? Could we make that motion tonight?
We can
Okay.
do, from contingency, sure.
Okay, I don't know how the rest of the board feels about that before I amend my motion.
I'm good with it.
That makes sense to me as well.
Yeah, I think it's, as a practical
Okay.
matter, we can move this project forward. That's what the fund is there for. And that has also been a usual business practice for this board.
Okay, so now I need to amend
Oh, you
the
amend-
amended emotion. Amend the amended motion to add that we make a motion to move the funds from contingency to the engineering line, which is, I don't have it in front of me. Justin, can you repeat what the letters
Yeah.
are? Do you still have that up?
A 1440.4.
Okay, groovy, thank you.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Okay, trustee Keating,
Aye.
trustee Lampier,
Lampier, aye.
trustee Stetser,
Aye.
trustee Lightgib,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Plummer, aye.
Motion passes. Real quick, I'm sorry, there's another Q&A that popped in and I missed it.
Oh,
It's from Robert Corby, if the board's okay to hear this comment again. Okay, he said, based on previous estimates discussion with SRF, the median would cost between $400,000 and $200,000.
well, it's a small, narrow drive over median and not a pedestrian refuge. So we've had, the town came up with a different estimate, but you know, they're in on it. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Item 5, the update on the NISTOD resurfacing and restriping and pedestrian median on North Main Street. And Renee, I know you've been very diligent following up on this
We-
particular project.
Mayor Plummer and I have met, as reported before, with the emergency services to try to reach some compromises. We are getting a median pedestrian refuge island on North Main Street as part of our active transportation plan. It looks a little different. We had a drive-up median back then, and NISDOT has now designed a solid curb, a hard curb median. So it's a little smaller, but it does have signs in the middle. So we had to, in order to get that pretty hardy median, we needed to reach some compromises with the fire department so that they get 20 feet of clearance on either side, which means that we're going to have to sacrifice some parking. And we are still making some decisions around where maybe we could retain some spots on the dairy side of North Main Street, but it's possible in order to accommodate the 20 feet on either side of that, or 20 feet clearance for the fire department, that we are going to have to sacrifice all of the parking as a worst case scenario. So we need to get back to NISDOT by the 25th of February. And we're going to be working with, touching base with NISDOT and the fire department as well one last time, just to make sure we've got some clarity on this. We've been working on it for quite a while. And that's going to occur as part of the resurfacing that's happening, as mentioned earlier with the median conversation on State Street, that the resurfacing is happening this beginning this spring. So did I leave anything out?
Resurfacing of the bridge, the flashing beacons
Yeah.
going in at the end of Shane Place, right at the end of the bridge there for pedestrians and bicyclists to be able to safely cross on the canal path from one side to the other. So it's all good. Yeah.
So I did send some concepts around, and we'll be able to, Josh from NISDOT said for the next meeting, we could include the final concept drawing in our packet to make it publicly available.
Yeah, we have to get approval from NISDOT to be able to publicly show, the plans. Okay, any other questions or yes?
Renee, is there anything that you wish it had that it doesn't, that is?
Yeah, I wish we could keep the parking. I wish we could keep a few parking spots on either side. I think the trade-offs of, we've been trying for a long time to get a safe refuge there, because that big middle turning lane is, a very confusing conflict point for drivers and for pedestrians. So I think the fact that we're getting a really hardy median there and a refuge for pedestrians will help with some of the traffic mitigation as well, and slow everyone down. So I want to land on that. Like, if we're giving up some parking, I'm almost willing to accept that a little, but I do love on-street parking because it quiets everything down too. So we're going to try to, so that's fine. That was a long answer, but yeah, I wish we could have some spots there, but we need the 20-foot clearance for the emergency services.
But at the end of the day, we still did get a solid, and as you say, a hardy pedestrian refuge, which is, I think, will greatly contribute to public safety. Yeah. Any other thoughts on that? Anything else to add, Renee? We're good? Thanks, everybody.
Good.
Okay. Number 7, customer service survey. I wanted to just talk with the board about this. The idea that, we have applicants that go before actually all 3 boards, and just to have a follow-up with, our residents or businesses that do come before the boards with an application, like a Survey Monkey, or just maybe 4 or 5 questions about their experience, to give all of us some feedback about what we're doing well and maybe where we can improve. And, I'd sort of like to tap into Trustee Stetser and also Trustee Keating, because I know they're very familiar with this type of work as well. And maybe they could help us draft maybe a little sort of mini survey going forward and then bring it back to the board. Any thoughts?
I have
Yes, Renee.
quick question. Are the other boards receptive to this idea? The 2
Well, this is the first, I mean, I'm presenting it to this board. I mean, in other words,
Okay, to see
this
if we
is, you know,
want to
we're
reach
bringing this
out.
for discussion, you know.
Yeah.
That's what we do. So,
And are we talking about like an easy, like net promoter kind of easy survey where after you go through as an applicant, as a resident, you answer 3 questions or
Yeah.
something super easy? Not,
yeah,
okay.
like no more than 5. I mean, you know, just simple questions. And, you know, just the ability, I think, to give feedback, I think is really an opportunity really for all of us. Yes, Lily.
Could one of the questions also be, would you be interested in serving on a board?
Well, let's ask that one.
That's a good question.
Sure, yeah, you know, I mean,
And
I
it's a-
was, of
If it's
course,
going out to a lot of people, and it's an opportunity, and if they
Yeah.
have, you know, enough interest to
sure,
give us ideas, they probably have thought about it a little bit, and perhaps they have an interest. So,
sure. I mean, you know, at this point, I mean, I would hope, you know, maybe, you know, Renee and Dan, if you guys, do you think you could maybe put a little something together and factor in what Lily's thinking of too, and maybe bring it back to the board for some discussion? Is that something you guys can do?
I'm happy to help. Surveys
Okay.
aren't my area of expertise, but I can do research and help. So
Okay,
yeah, I'm happy to. And does this mean we'll reach out to the boards? That's the thing I would like to see, whether we
sure,
decide to do
sure.
it or not, just making sure that they're
Yeah.
okay with being surveyed. I think it's a normal, good
Mhm.
thing to do, to get feedback, as hard as it is to hear sometimes. Getting feedback from our residents about, you know, how the process went, in particular, having been through this several times for my own house and going before the 2 boards. And are you proposing that we would do it for our own board as well?
Yeah,
And
oh
what would
yeah,
that look
we have
like?
3 boards. We have 3
Okay.
boards. Why wouldn't we do it? Any applicant that comes before us, you know?
Okay, so
I mean,
this
I
is
think it's
for
important.
applicants then.
And I think it's an yeah, and I think it's an
Okay.
opportunity, and a positive one, you know, for all of us to get some feedback. And also, I think, you know, applicants feel like, you know, they're being heard in addition to just putting in an application before a board. You know, that's why I'm bringing it before this board for discussion and to hopefully move this forward. Yeah.
We could put it online, so we wouldn't have
Sure,
to do
yeah,
it
sure.
paper.
Sure.
Not that I
But, you
don't
know,
love paper.
Yeah, or you just send them a little follow-up email, you know, thank you, how was your experience? Click on this for the survey. I don't know. I mean, these are the things you work out. I don't think we need to address all of that tonight as much as this is the concept that I'm bringing before this board, and I'd like to just move this forward.
Then who would reach out to the 2 board chairs? Would it be the liaisons, or how do we want to
Yeah,
do this?
yeah, I would think the
Okay.
liaisons would do it. You know, in other words, this is something, you know, you're reporting something that the Board of Trustees is discussing. And as liaisons, you just bring it back to, you know, your board you're assigned to and move from there. Yeah. All good. Okay, sounds good. Sounds like a plan to do this. I'm getting nods. Okay. No, thanks, everybody. I just think it's a good thing to do. Okay, item number 8. Village revenues.
Okay, not everybody look at me. Brooklyn, I believe you're going to help out as well with this discussion. In your financials that I presented to you tonight, there are some items, and I believe Trustee Keating as well as Trustee Lightgib pointed out that there's been some, I don't want to say surplus funds, but additional funds received at this time that might very well be more than the village anticipated in receiving, especially like sales tax and the last numbers that, and I will say Mary prepared the sales tax distribution in preparation of presenting this to the board. We had budgeted $516,357. We received $338,795.76 and change, which leaves us anticipating the rest to collect of $177,561.24. If you look back to last year, and even if we just maintain what we received last year, that's over $283,000 still we could possibly bring in sales tax. We are due to receive another check this month. I have not had the opportunity to reach out to Monroe County to see if that number is prepared yet, But my guess is, yes, we will have additional funds in this line if everything stays status quo, even to last year's number. Looking at this third quarter check we received, that was 9% more than last year. Being conservative, I would say it would be nice to say, I would anticipate maybe 4 to 5% increase. The fourth quarter check does include the December holiday, so that one might very well be much higher, but I can't really give you a good feed on that because we really just don't know with the pandemic and the surge and everything and how that hit. So really until we see those numbers, but I could safely say, and I'm being really conservative, that we could probably see an additional 50,000 in that line that could be used towards, debt as suggested or other items. But we really can't count that as an overage until we get to the end of the year. We really need to see how the other lines function as well. Does that answer the question related to sales tax?
Partially. The other big part of it was the federal funds related to COVID.
Correct, the ARPA funds. Yes,
Yeah.
we did receive so far $63,307.49. We are due to receive the same amount in this coming year. Those funds are reflected in your detail of revenues. We are meeting with our accountants on Monday. I want to discuss that with them because those funds, although they're showing in our revenues, they're really not available for use until they're budgeted to use. You can't spend the money until you budget to spend the money. So yes, they're available to the board to use and you're seeing them on here, but we have to make special budget amendments to be able to use them.
Right,
Okay.
and if I could just add to that, because, and just for everybody listening, so the ARPA funds come in two parts, so we just have the first half for this year. And Dorothea, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we have up to how many years to spend those funds?
I
3,
think
4?
4 or 5. Brooklyn.
Yeah, maybe it is a little bit longer than that. So it's not as though you use the funds right away, but there are guidelines and constraints with what we can use the funds for. There have been some amendments since the first sort of guidelines came out about expanding usage of those funds. So the funds just don't go sort of into the kitty, they have to be very specifically directed and comply with the federal guidelines for how they're used. And a lot of it really is for infrastructure and roads and, things like that. That's kind of a biggie.
I'd almost consider it like a reserve at this point. You really have to plan your budgeted use of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's compliance. Yeah.
Okay, so then I'd like to take this in two different parts. So as for the ARPA funds, terrific. We'll talk about that during budget time.
Yeah. Yeah,
About where we
exactly.
might think about spending that money.
Mhm.
And that looks like it'll be 140K, somewhere around there.
Yes.
Maybe a little less than that. So as for the overage and taxes, what I would ask is that no decisions are made on, since we have more money in than we expected, that no decisions are made on where to spend that extra money, whether that's to pay down debt or to boost up the contingency fund without discussing it with the 5 of us.
It can't be done.
Can't be done.
until it is- Because it would be a budget amendment.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So good, we're on the same page.
And actually, I would suggest the
It's only
board,
one page.
I would suggest to the board when we get to May to really take a look at the revenues. And if we are really above our anticipated revenues, make some decisions then on how to spend the additionals and budget to do so, or let it carry over and go into your fund balance. And then you can do it at budget time.
Okay,
Okay.
makes sense.
The other items that very well will be, and I'm going to use that word surplus, although I don't like it. The gross receipts, we might see an additional amount in there, as well as the mortgage tax. We budgeted 37,000. We're at 29,000. We've been averaging 14 to 15,000 on the next check, so we might see a little extra there. The one thing on the revenues I do want to point out, and if you're looking at it and you're going, why do we have a parking monitor if he's collecting no revenue because we budgeted 6,000, there's 0 in. It's a complicated factor. In talking to Brooklyn, and Brooklyn, I think you pulled up the numbers for what we've collected with parking tickets. I'm hoping he's there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Talking to him. Okay.
Yep,
He
I
really-
am here.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, thank you.
Yep,
There you
sorry
are.
about that. No
Brooklyn-
earpods this time, so I might be a little muffled. But yeah, we were at about 4,100 for the fiscal year so far. So with paid tickets that I have on our parking meter chart, we are at about 4,100.
Right. And the reason why you're not seeing that, there's a process in place, and I really need to talk to the town and understand that process. We collect the funds, we issue the tickets, we collect the funds, then we have to send the check, I believe, to the town, who sends it to the state sends it back to the town, who sends us a check. So what's not accurately being reflected in this report is we are collecting fines and things, and our parking monitor is doing his job. So before, I just want you to go 0, because it's
Yeah.
not really fair review of what's happening.
It's an
not-
arcane process. It's and a lot of postage involved for some reason. Yeah.
And I don't understand all those little details with it, and we are gonna review it and get a better answer to that and see if there's a way to speed that up to give you guys a better accurate reflection of what's going on in that line. Okay,
Thank you.
is there anything on the revenues that anybody had a question on?
I just have one follow-up question on the tax revenue. I don't remember whether we budget that at a flat line, the same amount per quarter, or whether we adjust based on the quarters. I don't remember how we did that. Does anybody remember? Was it the same for each 4, or did it spike in Valley? It's okay. Don't worry about it. We'll
I
get
don't
to it
remember.
during.
I think it was an aggregate of all of it, and we added a percentage to the total collected for the year to try to guesstimate where we would be. So maybe we figured we'd get 10% more, or we took it back to the previous year since it came in so well. Is my memory. But I
Dan, is there a different way you want to be looking at that? What are your
No,
thoughts on
we
it?
can cover this during budget time.
Okay,
but-
okay. I just didn't know
Yeah.
if there was something else. All right. Okay, anything else there?
No,
Thanks to Dorothy and Brooklyn for pulling that together. It's very important. Thank you.
so let's go to the expenditures. I had highlighted some of the items that are in the negative that were to be budget transfers. And again, as I said, I just started looking at this yesterday. I didn't have time to prepare those budget transfers, and I really wanted to review all the accounts to make sure I made the appropriate transfers to cover things. So we did have some negatives in the conference lines, which the board knew about and improved. These were anticipated to use out of contingency to cover. We had additional in the legal accounts with the embankment program. The board authorized the review of, I believe Mindy handled that, sending a letter regarding the support for the embankment with the canal. So, and the question I would have for the board, and I'm not sure if you're, at the time you approved that, did you make a recommendation on how to fund that? Was it coming from any specific lines? Does anybody remember? If not, I will take a look and try to find the best line to fund it from.
I don't know that we did. Does anybody else have a recollection of that? I honestly do not have a recollection of where we did pull that from. No,
Okay.
I guess, I think no. The short answer is no, we're not sure.
Okay,
Lily, I'm sorry, Lily, were you going to say something? Oh, nope, she says no. Okay,
okay, good.
yeah.
Let's see. We discussed the engineering overrun and we'll make the appropriate changes there. There's some minor with the DPW with their building and their payrolls, and we'll make arrangements there. But I do want to point out one area that, looking at it really quick, put me back on my chair, was in the garage DPW where you see paid time off. We're over budget by $9,649.43. We budgeted $24,000 for that line. There's a couple contributing factors to that overrun. And one is some paid time off for an employee.
Dorothy, can I stop you here? Do you have that up on your computer?
Let me see.
Because it's much easier to look at the numbers as you're talking about them. Can I ask you to share it?
Give me a second.
All right, thanks.
My highlights did
There we
not
go.
show. Oh, I don't mean to get everybody dizzy.
No, let's,
Let me
you
get
can point
that.
to it.
Oh, wow, I'm really flying. Let me back up. Okay, let's see here. Okay. I'm going right here, A5132, A513, 32.11. Can everybody see that line?
Yeah.
This garage DPW paid time off, and thank you for this suggestion, Dan. It's probably was a wiser way of going about this. We had budgeted 24,000. We have spent $33,649.43, which is, as I was saying, we have overrun the line. The contributing factors to that overrun of the line is COVID. And when our employees are off, that goes into compensated paid time off, as well as we had an employee out for extended sick leave. So there is an adjustment. And if you look at the line below, we had planned that we probably would have personnel out for COVID for $3,000. Obviously, that really didn't work out, but we need to transfer the money into the appropriate line. So I need to work with Brooklyn and get that straightened. And in addition, we need to cover this loss. Now, this time off, obviously, other services weren't used as such. If we go up to street maintenance and personnel services, there we have almost 40,000. So I might be able to take some money from that. And I'm going to work with Zach on these numbers to see exactly where he feels it's safe to take from, because obviously we're not spending that money in those lines because we had personnel out. So there's an adjustment across the board that needs to happen. So the key with this one is I have to adjust for what was spent and what could be spent in the next 4 or 5 months, looking forward to going to May, end of May, to cover it. Because we do want to do, my goal would be to make one transfer and cover the year. Okay, so just to bring that to you, that's the only disconcerting thing I've seen so far with looking at the numbers. And it's very striking when you look at that line and we're midway and we're 10,000 over in a paid time off line. But those are the contributing factors. It's really is a COVID issue, and it was that extended sick time. But I will say on the extended sick time, although the employee was out and I really felt bad that he is out, this is something that is going to be compensated through workman's comp. So we'll be seeing some money from the insurance company coming back to us to help cover that. It has to go into the revenues. It won't go directly to the line, but we will be recouping some of that. Any questions related to what I just said?
Nope.
Okay.
Makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Yeah, that's good.
And reviewing, as I said, there's a few minor little things like the Arboretum. We need to throw some money in there to cover. Celebrations, we are over $69.12. I'll make sure we get that covered. You know, and then again, it's the personnel services, and that happens all the time because we kind of take, as you know, at budget time, Dan, as you have pointed out in the past, we take the number, and Mary used to bucket it in one line, and her and Zach sit down and take the guesstimates where are the best places to put it. And sometimes we're off a little bit here and there, and we just need to maneuver some of those funds. Okay, any questions related to the expenditures for the general fund?
Nope.
Okay. So we'll move forward. Here's our trial balance. Everything looks in check. You know, our fund balance unreserved at this point. And this, until all the numbers are in towards the end of the year, this number fluctuates as we go through month to month. So right now it looks fabulous, but I don't believe that is the true number because you have to take out certain factors that we haven't accounted for. And again, I would have done that, but I didn't really have a lot of time with these and I really wanted to get you some numbers so you could see them. Because I know it had been a while.
Yeah,
So,
no, this is helpful. Thank you.
okay, and here's the, again, that analysis of the unreserved fund equity. And the same number as we saw in the trial balance. And stop me if you have questions and I'll do my best to answer. Oop. And our balance sheet. And as we can see, everything's balancing out as it should. And then we go to our sewer fund and I can't find anything wrong with the revenues on the sewer fund. It's just what you're not seeing. And this is something me and Brooklyn discussed today, the sewer rents. I was anticipating seeing some earned sewer rents in there. That really reflects on our service time. We just put out our bill for June 1st to November 30th in February. So those revenues won't show up in there until we get to the February books. Okay, so $140 does seem very small so far of earned revenue when you're 6 months into the budget, but this actually will have, the second billing will come in August. So it's really to do the service dates of the sewer account.
And those service dates, can you just speak to that a little bit? So is that arbitrary that it just is 6 months, or how does that happen that it is? Could it be every quarter, or how would that work?
You know, that was set up long before I came.
Okay,
These service dates are June 1st to November 30th and
Right.
December 1st to May 31st. I'm not sure, you know, what board, when, how long ago decided to bill twice a year.
Mhm.
I've seen different sewers that are billed quarterly. I've seen people that bill monthly. It's really would be a board decision and how they wanted to handle it. We would obviously work it out with Monroe County if there was any change, but
Mhm.
Monroe County provides the numbers to us. I know they gave them to Mary, and I'm going to assume January or early February, so we can
Mhm.
get the billing done.
Oh,
So,
okay. Yeah, I'm just thinking of the cash flow, sort of, yeah, okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yep. Any questions related to the sewer revenues?
Not on the revenue side. I have some expense questions on the sewer side.
Okay.
Are we able to allocate some of the overages from sick time and COVID to this, given that a certain percentage of their salary is paid out of this?
And it should be. I agree with you 100%. And that is something I
one.
need to speak with Brooklyn.
Okay.
If you're, I'm going to assume you're still there and maybe you can comment. When we break out the PTO time, do we do a percentage to sewer or is it just straight general?
For pay time off, it is straight general.
That would be something I would bring up to
Yeah.
our accountants on Monday. I'll ask them about that because I know even staff, we compensate 25% of our time to sewer for the work we do in the department. And I'm not sure how that should reflect with the DPW or could reflect in a manner. So I will talk to the accountants on that and see if that's an adjustment we can make as well.
Thanks, Dan. That's a good question.
Is there any other, there was,
Well, and if we didn't budget for it that way, then the answer is probably no. So the answer will be, can we budget for it
in the
that
future?
way in the future?
Going forward, yeah.
It's
Correct.
not going to be a short-term fix if we haven't done it.
No, because that
Did we?
would be a
Yeah.
budget amendment to the sewer department and
Yeah.
messing with those lines, and it's probably not worth it at this point. We'll
Yeah,
cover it in
agreed.
general.
Agreed.
But I didn't see any overruns in the sewer. I'm not seeing of anything necessarily concerning. It looks to be moving along swimmingly. Is there any
Ooh,
questions, any questions from the board on the expenditures?
no,
Okay. And again, here we go. We go with our sewer fund. This is the fund equity. Right now, the available fund balance is sitting $628,298.41. But again, that is not reflecting any revenues coming in. So that balance would probably be higher as a projection, but it's well-funded, and this is one of the reasons we've talked about, and Jeff provided you the information for setting up that reserve out of the sewer. And again, the trial balance and everything looks in order. I didn't see anything outstanding. And more trial balance, the balance sheet, everything again in balance as we would anticipate. Yeah. The capital improvements budget, this is the remaining of the bond that we used for projects. This is the money sitting out here, and this $8,630.99 will be used in our fiscal coming up, our upcoming fiscal year will help offset and pay off the bond, and then that will close this account. Okay. And this is just the necessary paperwork for that. And I guess we charged interest of $1.05 to that. And to be honest, I can't speak of the $1.05. I'm not really going to be too concerned on it, but I will take a look at what that was. And it really has no expenses charged to it, and it's balancing right out. And that is what I have for you for the finances. So I would ask the board to approve the financials as provided for sewer in general, unless there is additional questions.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
I'm going to stop sharing so I can see everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, there you are. Okay, trustee Lightgib,
Aye.
trustee Lampier,
Aye.
trustee Keating,
Aye.
trustee Stetser,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Plummer, aye.
And just to update the board, I will shoot to get these financials and work with Brooklyn, and we'll try to get to them on a regular basis, preferably on a monthly. I'd like for you to see at least the general expense lines more often, so you can see what's happening with the funds.
Great, thank you. And thanks to you and Brooklyn. I know, for just putting this together and turning this around. Thanks so much. Nice job.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have the budget meeting schedule.
Oh, did we lose her?
Budget meeting schedule, she said.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, budget meeting schedule.
It's okay.
Yeah,
Brooklyn, correct me, I believe an email went out to the board and there was some dates and things that were thrown out. Was there a consensus on a day of the week that would be good for the board?
anybody? I'm open. I'm ready to go.
Are you asking Brooklyn how he gathered?
I believe there was an email sent out
Yeah.
to gather
Yeah.
that information. I
Yeah,
didn't
and-
know if we already
And I
did.
believe Renee said she was gonna be gone for spring break, and Dan, I believe you are the 18th through 26th, I believe.
Yeah, February.
Yep. So I just said those were the only blackout dates that it wouldn't make sense to schedule a meeting, seeing two people will be gone, but we
Yeah.
have no exact dates scheduled.
I'm actually here that week because,
Okay.
all our travel plans got canceled. So without, if we need to have a meeting that week, I'm open, but I think Justin might be gone actually.
So
That's-
was Wednesdays good for the board, or was there a day of the week you prefer?
Wednesday was
Wednesdays-
fine for me. ahead.
Wednesdays are good for me.
Okay,
Do we
I
wanna
can do it in the afternoons. In the evenings, I do have a conflict on Wednesdays during the skiing season specifically.
so Wednesday afternoon up to what time? So we don't-
At least, sure, I think at least until 3:30 or so. I'm
Okay,
fine.
just so we have kind of a window for you,
And Dan, are you teaching?
Yeah,
So,
I'm good
okay,
on Wednesdays.
okay, so we could meet Justin's
Yeah.
time constraints.
Yep.
So do we want to have our first opening meeting February 23rd? Does that work for the board?
Do
I will
we,
be out, but that's fine. Go on and
Oh,
have it.
no.
Oh, that's right, you're gone.
No, it's fine. Go and have
Actually,
it. We
I'm-
have many of these.
yeah, and
Sorry.
Justin's gone too.
Right.
And actually,
Is-
if we could, it would be better if we didn't have them back to back, but maybe that's fine. I don't know. Because that would put the 23rd and then the 24th, we have another meeting.
We could
Yeah,
shoot
that's true.
I know, it doesn't, that's just a consideration that we've
Yeah,
made
no, I
before, but
Um,
for the staff in particular, you, Dorothea.
I would, yeah, I would say the 16th, but I have a meeting. Do we?
Hmm.
How about just throwing dates out there? I know we were shooting for Wednesdays, but how about Thursday, the
The
17th?
17th.
Yeah,
That
In between
day's-
our meetings.
That's tough for me that day.
okay.
Anytime that day.
I could probably do first thing in the morning.
Let me just see.
I can do that and then switch back to Wednesdays after the 17th. Yeah, that's.
Thursday, the 17th. Oh, I'm booked
You're
up.
booked. You're
Yeah,
booked.
What about
we
the
finally
18th?
have a meeting with RG&E and they're trying to fix our
Oh,
street
yeah, yeah,
lights.
yeah.
I can't, I'm not staying
You
with
can't
that
miss
one.
that meeting.
Well, we
Um,
could, I mean, we could get started, but without two of our board members, it's tough.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, May I make a request, please?
Sure.
May I make a request, please?
Yes.
I would request that our meetings be consistent. Pick a day of the week and a time, and please be consistent because I think it's too confusing for the public to be bouncing around, some in the morning, some in the afternoon, some in. I think to make the date and all the board members will do the best that they can to attend. In the past, we have had consistent absences at budget meetings. So I think we just do the best we can. Pick a day, whether it's Monday night or Wednesday night, whatever day you pick, and that will be our budget meeting. And if it's the day before our trustee meeting, in the past, we've done that as well. We've met on Wednesday and Thursday or Tuesday and Wednesday of any given week during budget season. That's what happens. It's budget season.
So I think we already have, we said Wednesday, sometime before 3:30.
You're meeting during the day?
I don't know, that's what we.
I don't feel
let's
comfortable
just
with
throw
that.
out there.
What we did last year. 2 years ago, I mean,
Before 3:30?
yeah.
Every
did
single
it
week?
while-
I
you
don't
guys-
think so.
Absolutely, you guys did it while I was teaching. So
I think it was
just
later in
looking
the
for
day, though.
consistency.
So the board is making a motion to have budget meetings on Wednesdays prior to 3:30 in the afternoon?
I thought it
Yes.
was just for that one meeting.
That's what I'm asking. I'm just saying, all right, for that one
Just 'cause
time,
we're-
if you do it Wednesdays at 6:30 or Wednesdays at 6, Wednesdays at 5, but it's during the workday and a lot of people work.
Many of us do too.
So,
Well, let's solve this.
Well, we could switch it to Tuesdays because that was our old day, but I don't know if that puts Dorothea in a pinch for the
Oh,
the
that's
staff,
fine. Tuesday will be fine.
since we were already doing that. And
Okay,
we
so
could
we're
do
looking at
like-
Tuesdays now, like the
5
22nd?
o'clock or something. If we started, that would give us.
I'm
Here.
not free on Tuesdays from
Okay.
5 to 6:30. Really 5 to 7. I'm not free on.
Oh, on
Tuesday.
Tuesday, okay.
So that's out.
So we're back to Wednesdays. We're back to Wednesdays and who's
or
there
a
is there.
Monday. Or a Monday,
Yeah, we could do Monday. Maybe Mondays.
because I don't think trustee Lightgov is available until.
Oh, you're
the
not-
ski
you're not
season's over
available?
on Wednesdays. If
Yeah,
we're
it's got a
saying
standing
evenings.
commitment on Wednesday
Yeah.
evenings, unfortunately.
So and Dan's
Oh,
not available
Monday.
on Tuesdays, so maybe
Okay.
Monday.
I'm good with Monday.
And could we,
Monday, what
Could
time
we-
would you like to be?
start it? I don't know, what did we do last year? Didn't we do it 5?
I think we did 5, and one time I think we did 4, but whatever the board wants.
It's sort of that window anyway, an
Yeah,
hour
but I
either
agree
way.
with
I
Lily,
hear
it
what
needs to
Lily's
be-
saying, you
yeah.
want to keep it within a
Same
parameter.
time.
Yeah,
So the 21st?
21st is a Monday at what, 5? Zach,
The 21st is a holiday.
Oi. That's right.
boy, we are
Thank
not
you
batting
for
a
the
thousand.
reminder.
Thank you.
But we could do the 28th. Or Valentine's Day. That might not be enough time to get everything together for the first meeting.
I don't know that it would be. What-
No,
what do you
I've
think?
just gotten access to the program today, so
Yeah.
get the numbers in and get you paperwork and get you started off. I'd really like a few days to get everything in
Go
Okay.
Monday, the 28th.
Monday, the 28th
at 5
at
PM.
5. Yep,
And I will try to have paperwork to the board in advance, so you have something to review to discuss. Okay?
Great.
thank
And
you.
then we'll go from there and with the schedule.
Okay,
All
And
right.
is the assumption that we go weekly on Mondays from 5 to 6:30 through budget season and cancel them as we need them, or are we just
well,
doing
just
every
as
other
needed,
week?
as
Hold on.
needed. Right now, we could just set it up as a working schedule. You're right. And then, we may not use all the dates.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To answer that question, yes. We'll send out a meeting schedule. Brooklyn, can you put that together tomorrow? He'll put it together.
Thank you.
Okay,
are we done with this? I'm sorry, Dorothea.
I think we're done. Is the board
Okay,
done?
yeah, okay. I'll just skip down, item 10 just for the second, COVID update, because I think that'll be pretty quick in terms of where we're
I'm
at.
Sorry, we have a question.
Oh,
I
okay,
think we'll be actually covering this with the next discussion. So the question is, will the budget meeting needs to be in person or virtual? So I'm gonna hold answer on that. I think, or request that the board hold answer on that
okay. Yeah, it'll be answered, just, give us.
in a few minutes.
Yeah. So Governor Hochul, issued or revised actually, the mask mandate. And I know Dorothea, you've received some information on that as well. Maybe you'd like to share that with the board.
I did share the county's things, their recommendations with if you have symptoms, if you've been exposed, if you tested positive. What we've been currently doing, if employee has been exposed, we have them stay, because if it's in their household, we anticipate they very well might contract it. Giving the Omicron, that one really seemed to go right through households. So that actually has been true for the 2 households that infected. We have them stay home the 5 days and making sure they test negative to return. If someone has tested positive, we had them test negative before they return. This was keeping employees out 7 to 8 days because there was a little concern with having someone coming back with a positive. I know that the anticipation of them spreading after 5 days is lessened, but really was keeping to the policies we had in place. So bringing this back to the board, I don't know how you feel about that policy continuing. Are you good with just having them out the 5 days and then returning, or continuing with the test negative to return?
Any thoughts from the board? Yes, Lily?
I would suggest we follow the same guidelines as Governor Hochul as the CDC has put out, and that is the 5-day if they test negative. I think to change it, to lift it somewhat and follow the guidelines that have been put out recently, the one that you sent.
I don't think it's
Yep.
5 days after testing negative. It's 5 days after having symptoms.
Being sick.
Yeah, so you're saying not to test negative before you come back. It's taking, for adults, having been through this recently, it can take up to, 10 days, 7 to 10 days to test negative. And if we're talking about our little tiny office, younger people, it cycles through a little quicker. If we want to be super safe, testing negative with an antigen test, not a PCR test,
Right.
is the best way to go, unless they're going to be masked the whole time after that 5 days. So if we want to redo, I don't, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, Zach.
You're muted.
Unmute.
Thought I unmuted that. In our shop, if someone comes up positive and it spreads throughout our shop, it shuts our whole shop down. So I would advise that at least for 5 days, and then until you test negative, at least for our shop, please.
Yeah, you all work really closely together. It's a different work environment.
Yeah.
I mean, you're
different work
outside for some
environment,
of it, but you're also in the shop.
and we can't do our job from home either. So if again, if one of us contracts it and spreads it to everybody else, there's no one out to be able to plow. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, we've been there.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And it is different for us at Village Hall because even though people have been testing negative, they may have been, relatively asymptomatic or not quite that sick and they've been able to do work from home. Yeah, so it is a very different circumstance. So how do we want to address that then? Is that a hybrid policy? Anybody?
So we're adding to the guidelines, the Monroe County guidelines, that we require a negative antigen test before coming back, even if you're if you were symptomatic. Or are we saying across the board? A
We've been
negative
doing
antigen
across
test?
the board.
Yeah,
Across the
okay.
board.
Across the
Um,
board, you had to have a negative test to return.
I don't know that. I think the negative test to return is very smart. Other countries are doing that, but and I'll listen to Zach in a close environment. It seems like you can't really get away from each other if there's a possibility of someone still being positive. So, and it's cycled through a lot. So there aren't a lot of you left standing who haven't had it.
Yeah, Dan, did you have a?
Do we want to do a negative test or 10 days, whichever comes sooner? Which solves both of those? Because that solves the problem of it takes some people weeks to get a negative test.
Mhm. And it still matches with the revised protocols. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, I don't know. It's been very effective for us to do it the way we've been doing it. Because there's consistency there. And Dorothea, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, the cases that we have had of COVID have not come either from the DPW or the office.
No,
They have been,
Outside.
yeah,
an outsider environment.
yeah, because everybody's been great about following all the protocols.
Correct. I believe Trustee Lightgib had a comment.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Chester.
sure. Yeah, I was just wondering, it seems like the schools, not that we have to follow what they're doing, but isn't that after you test positive, there's the 5-day quarantine and then no requirement for a negative test? I was just wondering, is the logic that there can be kind of inactive disease fragments or something that you might be testing positive, but you're not really contagious? I was just wondering if
You have to
anybody
be
had any-
masked at all times, though.
Mhm.
So that's the requirement, except for lunch, I guess. That's the
Yeah.
outlier.
Okay.
But yeah, and that's what we were saying. Unless you're going to be masked at all times, what we're hearing from Zach, that it's really difficult to do that in their work. They're so close together that sometimes that might be difficult.
Well, I agree with Zach's suggestion for DPW, and I think we should maintain that because it's been effective. We've had people out, but we've had the crew staying up and running. You've never had to shut down the whole DPW based on how you've been running those protocols.
Yeah, and everybody that has contracted it has gotten it from outside of the DPW, so
Yeah.
it's not being passed between us. We're following all the protocols pretty tightly, so it really has been effective doing it this way.
It means a few extra days beyond the 5 days.
Right.
Most people test positive day 6, 7, 8, around there.
Seems the average is about 7, at least out
Yeah.
on the ship so far.
Yeah.
On this particular one, yeah. Well, I'm comfortable maintaining that for now, and maybe we even revisit it, sooner than later. In
Yeah.
other words, we really could be getting on the other side of this surge. And maybe we revisit it in a next couple of meetings.
Mayor Plummer, Steve Locke has his hand raised.
Yeah, Steve.
Yeah, no, I wanted to just reiterate what Justin had said in regard to the schools. And I just want to say, for me, I mean, I went through this and I was 9 days where I showed positive and I feel guilty not coming in, but I do agree with the 10, if we went to the 10-day and as long, long as you're asymptomatic. I don't believe anybody should, any of us should want to come in if we're having symptoms of some sort that we could spread to somebody else. That
Agreed.
would be the human thing to do, no matter if it's 5 or 10 days.
Okay, so that's a good point. In other words, you're still showing the virus, but you may not be shedding and you may not have any symptoms, but if you still have a mild fever, which we did have some employees that still continually had that mild fever well past, 5 days.
I think that's already in the guidelines, Mayor Plummer.
Yeah.
I think if you have a fever or your
yeah,
symptoms
you
aren't
don't come in.
resolving, it doesn't matter if it's
Yeah, you
been
don't
5
come in.
days or, yeah.
Period. Okay, so where do we want to go with this? Let's wrap this up.
Do we want to continue with the test negative to return for another month and then revisit this and see where we're at? Is that
Yes,
like a wise things to do?
Sure.
yeah.
Okay, the other part of this, and I'm gonna ask the board, we've been having people fill out information slips with their address, phone number, contact info, take their temperature upon entering Village Hall, and we've been collecting those, trying to track in case we did have an outbreak. Since we're coming on the other side of the surge, my suggestion is we do away with that, maybe have people just take their temps, and if they're high temp, don't enter, and we've been having people mass coming in. So I think maybe we could get rid of the information slips, just maintain the mask maybe for another month, just as we continue down the surge, if the board is still good with that.
I
I
think
might
that's a
suggest
good idea. Yeah.
March 1st. Could you put a date of March 1st on it?
Sure, whatever the board would like to do.
Sure, we could do it that way and then revisit it because, yeah, you're right. I mean, things are going dramatically down. But, also, we haven't even had to trace back for anybody because, again,
No,
we
we
have
haven't.
not been a source of COVID. So, in a way, we're saving trees if we're not having them fill out forms.
Yeah, having the visitors be masked, I think is probably more effective than taking the temperatures. It seems like by the time you take your temperature, you're generally, it's too
I
late.
think that's a
but-
lot easier. To be honest, the
Yeah.
public has been, we've gotten some pushback and, as kindly as we say, can you fill out a form? You get to a point,
Yeah.
you're like, okay, how can I help you? And just get everybody out. So
Yeah.
I think let's just make
Continue the masking.
continue the masking. So this leads us to the in-person and virtual meetings. The current allowance for the virtual meetings expires on Valentine's Day, I believe is the last day on that. Am I wrong on that, Mayor Palmer?
Try to remember.
I think it's February 14th for some
I
reason.
think it might be too.
So I'm not
Can we
sure
do-
which way that's going to go with the new guidance that came out. So I turn that back to the board. Do you just want to, it always has been the board's decision whether they want to be virtual or in person. If the option to continue virtual, does the board want to continue virtual or do they want to go back to in person?
Yes, Lily.
I prefer to go back to in-person, but I'd be willing to entertain March, 1st of March as the date that would begin. I mean, not that we have a meeting that date, but beginning March 1st, that we would, moving forward, all meetings would be in person from that date. That's my suggestion. That's what I've seen on the news as that is going to be federally, nationally, the standards. So I think that would be a reasonable thing for our board to do as well.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Dan?
I prefer to stay virtual until we're certain. And right now, I don't think anybody's certain. The numbers are still over a few hundred per day in Monroe County.
Should we? Yeah, Lily?
Thank you.
And to finish that, I don't think it makes sense to set a date for when virtual expires. I think we make that judgment based on how widespread the pandemic is.
I believe the state made that decision already for us. February 14th was the date. On the news tonight, Dr. Mendoza indicated that we were on the downside and that it was called an endemic now, not a pandemic. So given what I'm hearing from our Monroe County health official, that is what I'm basing my statements upon. and also what I have heard about what will be determined nationally going forward. So it's alarming, but it's some way for the future, and that we'll always have to accept. They said it will always be there. Given that, I would still prefer to go back. If members would wish to be masked, that's fine if that's their comfort. But I would prefer, as we are a government body and we serve the people, to be in front of the people and accessible to the people. And I would like to go back to our meeting in Village Hall. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, everybody always has the option to wear a mask, that's for sure, whether or not, that's always an option for anybody. Yeah, any other comments?
So we had a suggestion, it seemed like the compromise might be, Lily suggested the March 1st, that we revisit it. And Dan said, let's not set a date, but maybe maybe we could say at least through the February break and see, because people are going to be traveling. We don't know what's going to happen. That's going to be the next probably place where we might see it. And so March 4th or March 1st gets us a little beyond that. And we could, that was Lily's original suggestion.
Sort of make an assessment then. Yeah, because
Yeah,
you're right, when
I don't know
breaks
how
come
to-
up or holidays. Yeah. Yes, Dan.
Yeah, to be clear, I'm fine with assessing it on March 1st. That's fine. I just didn't want to make a decision to definitely come back on March 1st now.
Oh, I see. And just change it on, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, so we don't have to make that call right now.
Mhm.
So that can be our intent, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like that to be our intent. I agree with Lily about, being before the public and it being, in person. So if
And-
I'm
and we've-
understanding this, then about reassess it on March 1st. Is that what I'm hearing? Yeah, okay,
Sounds good to me.
okay.
Sounds good.
And I'm just gonna put the codicil out that virtual meetings are extended. If they're not extended by the governor as of February 14th, we have to return,
And we have to return, that's true. It's
okay?
not an option.
That kind of just went right out the window because
Yep,
the law is in effect, so we have to follow that policy.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're kind of posting, at this point, I'll start posting all the next meetings like both ways. In person or virtual.
sure. Well, we really, and, I mean, every village is struggling with this too, because we don't have, it's not that clear cut right now. We don't know.
Okay,
Okay,
oh, we do have a Q&A question. Okay, the question is, can meetings be hybrid so villagers can avoid sitting in the room?
That's what we
Don't-
did last time.
Yes, and I don't think the board wants to get rid of that. We've had great attendance coming in through the Zoom. I think we've been thrilled to see audience. So we had it up and running and may have had a few glitches, but we're getting better at it. So I'm not ready to drop it. And if the board still wants to do the hybrid meetings,
I think it's a good thing because I think it just gives greater access. Whether you want to be in person or you want to, be hybrid. I think there's an upside. More attendance.
Okay.
We're good with that, the board? Yep, getting nods, getting thumbs up. Okay, great. Anything else here?
I got nothing else.
Okay. I am gonna just skip down really quickly, Dan, just the naming of the village plows, kind of where we're at with that, or anything to report?
Yeah, we're at the 2-hour mark. Do we want to take 5 to 10?
Yeah, why don't we do that? Thanks for that. Yep. Yep, oh, Lily, you're muted.
Yes, I do. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Number 10 was skipped over.
We're gonna
and-
come, yeah. we're gonna
Yes,
come
but I
back to
have
that.
something to say regarding that, excuse me.
Okay,
And that is that I made a promise, a pledge to our constituents, to the residents of this village, that I would not again participate in a meeting where it extended past a certain point, and when it got to a discussion, that we would all leave the room and then leave them sitting while they've been waiting to address the board. And I'm not going to do that again. So I will not vote for us to leave the meeting at this time. I would like to continue. I have questions. I would like to discuss them in person because I was not available to attend a special meeting, and I have general questions and I would like them addressed. And I do not want to go into,
No,
Leave
Lily,
the room.
Lily, I think you misheard. Excuse me. We just wanted to adjourn for a quick 5-minute break and then come back. We are not going into a session. We are
Okay.
simply, it's like the 9th inning stretch. You know, we've all been at this a little while and, you know, we may need certain breaks. Just a 5-minute, you know, a motion for a 5-minute adjournment. And then we will come back and we will address that item.
okay,
Yeah, that
I will
was,
concede the 5 minutes.
thank you. Yes. And Dan,
Thank
am
you,
I
Lily.
correct? That is what you were proposing.
So I make
Okay.
a motion to take a 5-minute adjournment.
I'll second.
Okay.
Roll call?
Trustee Lightgib,
Aye.
trustee Lampier,
Aye.
trustee Stetser,
Aye.
trustee Keating,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, so it's 8:35. We'll be back about 8:40. Thanks, everybody. Okay. Back here, I make a motion to bring the meeting to order. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call. Trustee Lightgib,
Aye.
trustee Stetser,
Aye.
trustee Lampier,
Aye.
trustee Keating,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
We have.
We can't hear you, Elisa, when you're,
Oh, you're right. I'm so sorry. You're right. The discussion of the position of treasurer for the village. And Lily, I know, you know, you wanted to discuss it and the item is on the agenda and I think we all want to discuss it. So this is a good thing that we're all together.
Good, thank you. I had questions because of the way it was written on the special meeting, the agenda item, and I'm trying to remember exactly how it was worded. So I'm speaking generally about structure in the village, how we would like to be structured going forward, given the untimely resignation of our treasurer, our longtime treasurer. So I think that the proposal was, and you're going to have to correct me because there aren't minutes yet and there was no video of the meeting up yet, so I couldn't check it, that a proposal was made to file with Monroe County Civil Service with the creation of a new title. And so generally, I would not be in favor of the creation of a new title. I believe that we have at this time 2 individuals working who have the title of deputy treasurer. And so I would like to discuss about the structure of having 2 deputy treasurers going forward. And that is what I would like to discuss, rather than changing what exists in the village currently and has been, and that is a village clerk and a village treasurer. Purposely, I felt set that in that way because to have one position combining those 2 responsibilities would mean that whoever was holding that position, that appointment, would be preparing the budget, presenting the budget, and also certifying and sending it on to the state as well. So there's no checks and balances or oversight there in that position. And going forward, that we would be advertising for that position. And I just feel that to have a deputy treasurer as we have currently.
You know, can I just, oh, okay, Dan, why don't you hop in and then I
So-
just had a quick question too. Yeah.
really quickly, I just want to make sure that I like the way you started, Lily, which is that let's talk about the role first. The logistics of whatever role we decide to do, I want to put off for a later part of the conversation based on whatever we decide, because it's too easy to get wrapped up in the particulars of who needs to approve what, when, and what the motions need to be made and those kinds of things. So I do want to start with essentially where Lily started, which is the role itself. So I'm going to ask that whenever it gets into the process that we stay focused on what the role is that we want our office staff to have. Now, to the specifics of what you're saying, I can't see a scenario where you have two deputies and you don't have one person named as the treasurer. We'll get to the legal part of that in a minute, but from an organizational standpoint, I can't see a scenario where two different people have the deputy role and nobody has we wouldn't know who to go to for the point question. Somebody's got to be in charge. And but then the next question I'm going to have is, and this might be a question for Jeff, is legally, do we have to have a treasurer named?
Yes.
Okay.
Village law requires you to have a clerk and a treasurer.
Okay. And a deputy treasurer is not a treasurer. A treasurer is a treasurer.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, yes, Lily?
Thank you. However, it does not specify, I don't believe, the date that has to happen. If we are without a treasurer, that means that the deputy treasurer can step in the interim, and that a village would then advertise for the position and do their due diligence regarding finding a replacement. So yes, the deputy treasurer, it wouldn't be permanent. Yes, it would happen eventually, treasurer. But I began the conversation also by saying that I did not feel that the combined position of village clerk treasurer was in the best interest of the village of Pittsford.
And we've talked about that in executive session, and because when we talked in executive session, it had a lot to do with people's performance as well, and that should be talked about in private. And there was a majority of the board felt that the role of clerk treasurer was very appropriate for a village our size, and particularly given the new makeup of the office staff, where we have a very experienced deputy clerk, as well as Brooklyn really coming along in the deputy treasurer role, with a budget of $1.6 million and a small office staff. A hybrid role makes a lot of sense, and that's what the majority of the board agreed with.
Yeah. Yes, Justin.
Yeah, if I may, Dan, to me, it's not really appropriate to say what the majority of the board agreed with in terms of roles from an executive session, because that wouldn't even be an appropriate thing to discuss in executive session. So what I would propose is that if we are discussing the combination of roles, that we put that in a subsequent agenda so that the public can hear our thoughts on that.
They're hearing them now.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're talking about this now. This is an agenda item and we are discussing this publicly. I have a quick question, Lily. Maybe you can help me out here. Your concerns about the idea of a combined title or a combined role. And you said, whoever's holding both of those responsibilities, there's no checks and balances. And so could you speak to what the checks and balances are now and why they would change as a result?
It is my understanding that the way the village has operated in the past is that the treasurer does the anticipatory work and also prepares the budget for the trustees' review. So an individual who had the responsibility of village clerk and also was wearing that hat and was in charge of the staff, was in charge of office, was in charge of essentially everything, all in one person. So there's no oversight. Where's the oversight when you go in after you've prepared it?
I'm a little challenged by what you're saying, and I think maybe our attorney could help us, because I see them as two discrete roles. And Jeff, maybe you could weigh in on this in terms of, I'm not sure I'm seeing any impact other than what you're speaking to somehow are processes that we go through, whether there's a combined role or not, but not necessarily about checks and balances. I haven't heard about anything changing in that manner at all. They're two separate roles. Jeff, is there any thoughts that maybe you have about weighing in on this?
Before it gets to Jeff really quickly.
Yeah.
There already are a lot of checks and balances. Renee is a check writer. Now Brooklyn is a check writer. The mayor is a check writer, so that the books are examined.
And the entire board has fiduciary responsibility and accountability. Every single one of us does. And we also have accounting firms. In fact, they just came in. And that has always been in place, and there would be no change to that at all, in fact. And so I'm feeling that it's a little bit more of an apple and orange comparison somehow.
There's one other thing I wanted to say really quickly. We're not supposed to talk about employee performance in public, but we are allowed to say positive things about an employee. And I think we just saw earlier in the meeting how capable Dorothea is of doing that work, and what a good team Brooklyn and Dorothea make in that regard. So I did just want to tip the hat. That was probably the best financial update we've had in quite some time from the two of you. And and that was on short notice. So I really do look forward to more of the same.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Oh, yes, Justin?
Yeah, I'll also echo what Trustee Keating was saying. I appreciate both Brooklyn and Dorothea stepping up in their appointed roles as Deputy Treasurer. I think that we're in an enviable position in many ways as a village to have two very strong Deputy Treasurers, and that's helping us to get through the situation where we don't currently have a treasurer. I do have some concerns about the combination of roles, and I would like to continue that discussion in the future. It seems like there are certain issues we haven't looked at. For example, what would the salary expectations be of that position? We have not looked at any numbers for that yet. I would also like to see what the qualifications are, as there is something that the board would have to establish if we are to make a new role. It seems though that we're in a situation right now where, as our attorney was saying, we legally need to have a treasurer, and we do not. So it seems that regardless of whether we are going to appoint from the current ranks of employees that we have in the office, or if we're going to continue to have this be a role as treasurer, to me it seems like we should rely on our two very competent and very diligent deputy treasurers to get us through the next immediate needs that we have as a village, and also post this position as treasurer so that we can demonstrate to the public that we are carrying out our responsibilities to fill that position that we have a legal responsibility to fill. So regardless of what we do with combining the roles or hiring somebody new, I think that is something that we should do to put that position on the website. And to post it in other relevant areas to make sure that that position is open. So I will make that motion, if I may, that we immediately post the position of treasurer as an available job within the village.
I would I would like to make a motion to go into executive session. I think there's some things that need to be discussed and vetted before we even remotely get to that point of making that type of motion. Yes, Jeff.
I never answered your question. I don't know if you wanted to answer.
I would love to have an answer, and I probably
I
want
mean,
to add to it.
All I can say is that the roles of the clerk are different than the roles of the treasurer. Yes, the treasurer has to provide the annual report to the clerk, but it's the Board of Trustees that have the final oversight and say about approval, just as the board did tonight, approval of that report. and the submission. So it's always, the buck is going to stop with the trustees.
And it should. That's our job. Thank you. I do want to say, Lily, in 1 second, I'd like to be able to
I
make
do,
a comment.
point of order. A
Okay,
motion was made, and I will second that motion so that we may have discussion regarding
Okay.
that motion.
okay. Thank you for the point of order. The motion is seconded. Now, I would like to say, for some reason, I think it's been, there's been a misconception about a combined title, just in the most general sense, and that somehow it is either a concentration of power or somehow because there's a title change with civil service, and it with one person, that somehow there is no other type of oversight, that somehow there's no more checks and balances. And I think really what we're looking at, it is not about a concentration of power. It is really about, I'm trying to say, a redistribution of duties. Deputy treasurer, deputy clerk, a hybrid treasurer clerk, not uncommon at all in the state of New York. I think it is a very clear path going forward for us. We have talented, wonderful people who are so beyond dedicated. Most of you don't even know half of what they do. And I just think this is just a prudent path forward. I think it's a fiscally prudent path forward. The last time that we tried to hire a deputy treasurer, it took over a year. It is a tough labor market. We're going into our budget cycle. I think that we really need to revisit and make a decision about amending this title with the civil, or not amending, adding this title to the roster for us with civil service and moving forward. I think this is the most effective and efficient way for our village. And I think it's also financially responsible.
I agree. And I also don't see that
Are
it's,
you recognized?
Yes, I recognize Dan.
Thank you.
okay. I agree. And I also think it doesn't hurt to trustee Lightgeb's idea. I don't think it hurts to post for it as well, but I'm very much in favor of Dorothea serving as clerk treasurer.
I think we have a lot of talent right in front of us.
I agree.
Yes. Yes, Lily.
Thank
I'm
you.
recognizing Lily.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I am not discussing any individual's merits or work ethic or anything like that. I am talking about the way we are structuring our staff going forward. And once we create a position that is different in how we have operated in the last 20 or so years, we are creating something that is going to be very difficult to change in the future. To take it away is not going to be an easy thing. And we're not always going to have Dorothea. It could be someone else. And now we've got we have created an office or a position that is going to be very difficult to find an individual that will meet all the criteria. If it is maintained as a separate, and I don't want to get into any particulars about individuals as we're going forward. I want to keep this very general. And that is, if we advertise for the position of treasurer, that means that our current staff, as well as anyone else, would then apply for the position, and the board would decide who best meets that criteria and who will best serve the village going forward. So it doesn't necessarily change the outcome. It changes the process by which we come to having our staff function for the village. I am also very sensitive to the fact that we have two excellent deputy treasurers. I feel confident that they would be able to guide us through this budget process, that we don't need to put a sense of urgency, that we would be able to advertise, and perhaps no one that, we will determine the best going forward. And I want this opportunity for us to do our due diligence and advertise for the position.
Thank you, Lily. Dan, and then I would like to chime in too, please.
Okay. So Lily, you presented that a little bit as a binary choice, that either we would have a treasurer or we would have a clerk treasurer. And the way I understand it, we can apply to we can have titles that are both, and we fill based on the talent pool that we have. And right now we have a terrific talent pool that would allow us to fill a clerk treasurer role. In the future, maybe we wouldn't, and then we would have a treasurer as one person and a clerk as another person, and perhaps some deputies as well. But it's not an either or thing. We can both have the titles, and I think you know this, and forgive me if I'm explaining something you already know, but we can apply to have the title of clerk treasurer added to our role, as well as leave the title of treasurer existing on our role.
Yeah, I'd like to expand on that. That's why we have a roster. So titles really kind of don't go off. That's my understanding. For example, we have a title on our roster to have a village assessor. We don't have one. The title is there if we ever need it. In my understanding, and Jeff, please correct me if I'm wrong, but we could have a treasurer, we could have a clerk. With this hybrid title, at some point, we can have a clerk treasurer, and then we can go back to a treasurer and a clerk, because these are titles that are already approved in our roster for the village by the Civil Service of Monroe County. Is that an accurate reflection? Or do these titles somehow go away? Do we reapply?
I'm speaking, my knowledge of this is based on what Christian has
Yeah.
said. And that is, you create the title, you don't have to fill them.
Right.
And I think Dan was absolutely correct. By creating a clerk treasurer, it doesn't mean that you've eliminated your title of clerk, nor have you eliminated your title of treasurer.
Right. That was always my understanding as well, and that was based on, what we are training at NICOM. I also would like to speak, Lily, to the perception that somehow we have this false sense of, this urgency. Frankly, Mary retired. Mary submitted her retirement in 2019. This is not a surprise in terms of, wow, what do we do now? Because these pieces have been put in place moving forward. And, we have wonderful people who are coming along. And again, I'll say wonderful resource people already in-house. So I don't see this as a big shock. As we know, it maybe came a few months earlier, 8 weeks earlier, but essentially we all knew, for at least you all did, for well over a year, that this was happening. So I think let's figure out how we're going to move forward. We have always known this is going to happen. I have put forth a plan. I think it is a prudent plan for our village. I think we have a tremendous sense of continuity. We bring people along, and on a hypothetical level, say whoever would be in this hybrid title, someday they retire. We have already a person in-house who's trained to step up to be treasurer, and a person in-house who's trained to step up to be clerk. I think it's a smart investment in our people who have already made a commitment working for us. And I believe investing in our people and training them and bringing them up through the ranks. I think that's a very positive thing. Yes, Lily.
Thank you. I agree with all of those statements, and I would not understand why we wouldn't go ahead and advertise for the position. And I don't know why we wouldn't advertise for the position. We have two very capable people who are functioning in that capacity presently. And I look forward to working with them through the budget and have every confidence in them. And I don't see what the downside would be to proceeding in this fashion and advertising simultaneously.
Yes, Dan.
I have a concern, frankly, about morale in that regard, because I deeply believe that we should have Dorothea serve as clerk treasurer. I'm concerned if we post an opening, and it's a little awkward because Dorothy is sitting here, but I'm a little concerned that would hurt her feelings, and I don't want to do that. So if we did post it, doesn't necessarily mean we need to fill it.
Okay. I would like to
Yes,
make a
Lily.
motion to enter into executive session the purpose of which is to discuss the performance of a particular employee.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
How do we deal with the existing open motion?
Do you want to table the motion, the existing motion? For now?
It was made by trustee Leadgab.
Yep,
So-
I'll table the motion for now, so that we may enter executive session.
Okay, so tabled. There was a motion made to enter executive session. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
I'm confused. Well, discussion. I'm confused. I thought you just said before the break that you didn't want to go into executive session.
I didn't say that, meaning I didn't want to go into executive session at that moment while people were waiting in the room, but at this time, there are some specific things that I would like to discuss regarding statements that were made about employees, so. Thank you.
Real quick, you have comments from the public outstanding. Do you want to hear those before you go into that executive session? How would the board like this to run, please?
I would like to hear the comments before we go into executive session.
Any other thoughts from the board? We can put that to a vote.
Oh, yeah, I'm fine to hear them before we
Okay,
go.
and, you know-
Just a point of order. How do we want to do an executive session? Do you want the five of us to jump into my Zoom? And then we can leave this one open
Sure,
and then we'll come back at the end?
that might be practical.
Okay,
don't you
then
think,
then
Dan? Yeah.
I'll send, do you all have access to email right now? I'll send you the link to my Zoom room.
Okay,
Lily?
I could try. I don't know. Will it show up on this screen?
No,
Okay.
you would
you,
set up a
you'll
different,
have to go into your email and click on a link.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So do you want to read the
Yes.
comments, Dorothea?
Thank you. Robert Corby, talking about the talking about the merits of staff position and that is not allowable topic to discuss in executive session. This violates the open meetings law. Art Pierce, could you please explain once again the reason and justification for the proposed changes in the structure of treasurer and deputy treasurer, as well as the treasurer and clerk? Have there been issues with the existing structure? Let me continue. Robert Corby has another comment. Does the board want to hear it again?
let's keep moving along. It's getting late. I mean, let's keep moving. We've had,
Okay.
everybody's, if other people want to weigh in, let's just keep moving.
Okay, Christine Muley, I apologize if I said that last name wrong. In reviewing yesterday's meeting, I want to thank trustee Stetser for voting on the issue of clerk treasurer in a way that was not aligned with her own values, and appreciate that she was not influenced to vote in accordance with the other voting members. I was concerned that the mayor expressed disappointment after trustee Stetser's vote, and that trustee Stetser felt it necessary to explain her position as if she had somehow betrayed an alliance. In my humble opinion, the trustees should not be burdened with the fear of offending anyone with their vote. The trustees were elected respectfully, not the mayor.
I appreciate the comment. I'd like to just respond to that. I was just disappointed in the outcome, not what Renee did, because I felt that it was simply an administrative task. Thank you.
That is all the Q&A at this time.
Okay, so we have heard the Q&A. We have a motion and a second to go into executive session.
And I just sent you guys all an email with
Oh,
that
thanks.
link.
Okay,
Okay,
thanks,
so
Dan.
should-
That's great. Okay,
Okay.
roll call, please.
Trustee Lightgib,
Aye.
trustee Lampier,
Aye.
trustee Stetser,
Aye.
trustee Keating,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
So Dorothea, I'm gonna assign you as host.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for hanging in there.
Still here.
Okay, wow. Okay, excuse me.
Do we have everybody? Do we have Renee? Yeah, there she is. Okay.
We have everybody.
Okay, looks like everybody's here.
Okay, so where did we leave off? Is there a motion to re-adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
I'll second.
Roll call, trustee Lampier,
Aye.
Trustee Keating,
Aye.
trustee Stetser,
Aye.
trustee Lightgib,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Aye.
motion passes.
Yes, Jeff.
He's gonna say it's
Jeff,
not adjourned. Go ahead.
No, I'm going to say that Dorothy, the minutes should reflect that no action was taken in executive session.
Okay,
Oh, thank you for that. Okay. Okay, so let's see, we have a motion that has been tabled by trustee Lightgeb. So we're bringing, do you wish to bring back that motion for a vote?
Sure. The motion was to post the currently empty position of treasurer for the Village of Pittsford.
Okay, and we had a second on that. Roll call?
okay. Trustee Lampier,
Aye.
trustee Stetser,
No.
trustee Keating,
No.
trustee Lightgib,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
No.
motion fails.
Okay.
Okay. And
Yes, Dan.
okay, so I'd like to make a motion. It's it's a long and complicated one. So maybe I'll talk about it first, about what we intend to do, and then we'll get to a motion. Okay, so what we will, the motion will include some of the following, but probably not all of about what I'm about to say. So we will create the role of clerk treasurer with the county, and we intend to ask Dorothea to fill it on an initial basis. And what that means is we're asking Dorothea to do the role of clerk treasurer and come up with us with some goals for the next 6 months. Hey, I'd like to do the following things over the next 6 months in my role as clerk treasurer, and we would work on those things together, and then review after 6 months how it's all going. Is it working for you? Is it working for the village? Is it working for everybody? Is it working for the office staff? And we would just we want to set this up in a way that we have a plan for actionable, measurable goals. And we want to set it up that we have a plan for reviewing it after 6 months. Along with this, I really wish Brooklyn was still here. It looks like he's not here. We wanted to make sure to recognize Brooklyn's terrific work and come up with some goals for him over the next little while. He's already doing some of them including accounting training, accounting classes, the software training, some of the NICOM work and really to accelerate that plan as well, because we want to make sure that he recognizes that he's a very valued employee to us as well and is an integral part of the team. So that is, did I miss anything? I think that's it. And
In the investment in both of those positions. I think you covered that, but I like the word investment.
yeah, we're investing in Dorothea. We're incredibly appreciative of her offer to step into this role. We think she'll do a great job at it and really are moved by it, and want to make sure that we invest in both Dorothea to improve her skill sets and use everything she brings to the table, and also invest in Brooklyn as in the long term as well. Did I miss anything, fellow trustees?
That sounds good. No, we have capable people. We're excited.
Okay, so then the motion, yeah, this is not easy. Move to create the role of clerk treasurer as a role for the Village of Pittsford with Monroe County. Contingent upon that, once that is complete, ask Dorothea to fill that role.
For the interim.
Excuse
For
me,
an-
we have our attorney's hand up. Jeff,
Appoint, not ask?
No, I'm sorry. No,
Oh.
no, yeah, you appoint her.
Right,
This is, if this is the board's will.
Yep.
You appoint her pending the acceptance by the county of that civil service title. Appoint her to clerk treasurer. Pending acceptance of that position by a civil service position.
And that means we won't know until next month. Correct? Yeah, okay.
What it means is that she will not become clerk treasurer until next month.
yeah, it's the period before they meet, yeah.
I don't think I need to include in the motion all the stuff about performance and, objectives and coming up with a plan. Do I need to include all that, or is that just something we're gonna do?
I think that's, yeah, Jeff,
If the board intends to do an initial review in 6 months, then you might want to put that in the motion. I'm not,
Okay.
again, I don't want to appear like I'm telling the board what to do.
uh-huh,
Well, that's certainly the intent.
So add it in there.
Yeah.
Okay, groovy.
okay. Okay,
And Dorothea, as an aside, so now the motion's made, as an aside, I don't want anything to be scary in that initial review. That is merely, we would do this for anybody that's taking on a new role, should have a, hey, let's sit down after 6 months and see how's it going, what's working well, what's not, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. I love board feedback.
For real?
I think that was genuine, Dan.
Hey, look at the
Okay.
feedback I get on minutes. I'm all for it.
all right, so we have a motion.
Oh,
For
a
us?
second.
Okay, we have a second. Roll call. Oh, yes, Justin?
Yeah, just a brief point or statement from my side. I do want to say, first of all, that I appreciate our clerk's work, and I believe that she is an incredible asset to our village. So in no way do I mean to say that she is not worthwhile for this job, or that she does not add tremendous value to the village. I feel that the process that is being followed here is not the right one. It leads to poor public visibility, especially in terms of things like the role that is being combined here of the clerk and treasurer. There are benefits in having the separation in terms of checks and balances. And I think that, legally that's something that can be done by resolution or by local law to combine those offices. I don't think that we've discussed that separately enough and gotten enough public input to know that that's the right way forward. So I am not in favor of doing this at this point. It feels like it's to address a current urgent need. There are other ways that we could do this that would lead to possibly a better result, making sure that we've got enough public input. So procedurally, I don't feel like this is the right step to take right now.
Thank you. Yes, okay. Okay, roll call.
Okay, trustee Stetser,
Aye.
trustee Keating,
Aye.
trustee Lickett,
No.
trustee Lampier.
I will abstain. The reason for my abstention is that I would like to obtain additional information, personal information before proceeding. And so I am an abstention on this vote.
Mayor Plummer,
Aye,
motion passes.
okay. All right, great. Let's see, where are we here? Any other,
We do have public comment.
oh, okay, yeah, sure.
We have comments from Robert Corby regarding this. Would you entertain them? Because he did
Sure.
comment 3-4.
Well, yeah, I know, it's, well, it's late, I mean,
Uh,
how does the board
like-
feel?
I'm fine with hearing that
Either way,
it's a short
it's up
sentence.
to the board.
If
Yeah,
it's not
we can-
offensive, I'm fine hearing it.
Mary was still treasurer on Friday. She quit because a meeting was scheduled to take away her title without telling her. She was also upset about documents being taken off her computer without her knowledge. Mary called me and told me this. I'm deeply saddened that she was treated this way. Dorothea is a wonderful clerk. She will do a great job. However, I share the concerns expressed by Justin and Lily.
Okay, that's it? All right,
Actually, no, I'm sorry, I'm lying. There's one more.
okay,
Art Pierce expressed concern that his question asked before you went into executive session wasn't answered. So I'm just going to rephrase it, put it out there again in case I read it too quick and the board didn't realize there was a question there. Reason that my question for clarification as to why a change in the existing clerk treasurer is being proposed, and is there an existing issue with the current structure that is not being answered? What is the purpose of public Q&A if the board does not respond? So I'm just throwing that back to the board real quick.
I think we covered that in discussion publicly about why we were looking at this proposed plan. I feel like that information is out there. Maybe, you know, you can certainly look at the minutes or review the tape. I feel that that was covered.
Real quick, the board would entertain me to say a few comments, please.
Sure.
Of course.
I appreciate the confidence in the board in looking at this, and I understand that everybody sits on two sides of the table. I just want to clarify, there's been some social media posts put out, and I want to state that in no way when I suggested this was I was trying to push Mary out of a seat or cause any problems. And I will say I never touched any of the files. So I don't know where that's coming from. And I wish that would have been addressed with me while she was present. But additionally, I did not ask the board for a raise. I suggested this as a means of an end to move us forward. I am not asking for a raise right now. I have not asked for a raise since I started. I have only received my cost of living. So that is not why I'm doing this. This is not why I asked or doing this. So I just want that clear, because believe it or not, the public did take offense to that comment. And when you put out there that people are looking to pad their retirement, that's really not a good thing for public officials. So I just wanted to be clear, that is never even crossed my mind or was never my intention. So just to clear the air, that's my truth and I wanted to share it. And if the public has questions for me, they can stop by and talk to me. You know where to find me, 21 North Main. I'm usually there all the time. Okay.
All the time.
All the time, right? Thank you for that, Dorothea.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're much appreciated. Thank you.
No problem. Moving on.
Yeah, let's see. I know, I just lost my.
We have the village plows. Zach sends his disappointment, but he decided to leave Dan.
Okay, so I sent around a Google Doc with a copy in there. If you've got edits, great. If you don't, we'll just go with it. So maybe I'll give you till Tuesday of next week. How's that?
No, I thought it was fine. I was good with that, what you sent.
Okay. It's pretty straightforward. I'm probably going to have somebody design a single image that is easy to share, that kind of has the highlights of it. And so I'll run that by you before it goes out.
Great. So do you still need us to look at it by Tuesday, or are we good?
Yeah, because that's
give us till Tuesday.
What's there and needs looking at is like the page you go to when you vote.
Okay.
And what the copy says and that kind of stuff. That could use a good edit.
I didn't do my homework yet. My apologies. We've had some stuff going on.
Yeah.
I will do it by Tuesday, I promise.
Great. Take some time, pad the runway. It'll be fine.
Okay.
Thanks.
Can you send out just a quick reminder that it'll be due Tuesday?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. That'll be helpful. Okay, are there any other member items?
I have a few. Hold on. Does
yes,
anybody
Jeff?
else want to go?
Excuse me. Yeah, Jeff. Yeah,
Jeff, you're muted.
but I know what he's asking.
Can you leave?
No, I would never do that. Never. I don't want you to get the wrong idea. Can I leave? No, I'm kidding. Do you want me to stick around was my question.
I think we're all set, and thank you so much for your help tonight and your counsel.
You were supposed to bring your suit pajamas and you didn't do it.
That's right.
No, I stepped on zip each side my shoulder and just turned them inside out. I'm good to go. All right, everybody have a good night.
Thank you, Jeff. You
Bye-bye.
too.
Okay, so
Okay.
real quick,
Yep.
I've got three really quick ones. Still looking for the reps from the HPB and the PZBA to circulate notes on what has happened in those meetings. I'm asking for this every single time and still not getting anything. There are important meetings happening, and we as the other trustees who aren't there are blind. So I'm still asking for those. The second is Elisa, I brought it up in my statement about the cannabis referendum. I do want us to at least talk about term limits at some point. I don't even know what we can do in that regard, but I'm
Yeah, I'm for
asking
it.
you to follow through on a campaign promise and at least bring it to the table for us to talk about it.
Yeah, no, I'm totally for that. Absolutely. Just so you know, we have to look at the New York State municipal law on that. Because there's some parameters for that we should talk about. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And then the last is about 75 Monroe, and I'm partially because I'm in the dark from the other boards from PZBA and HPB, and I don't really have time to go and just view all those tapes. I don't really know what's going on there. And I'm wondering if I'm always in favor of us sitting down and talking face to face about this, whether that's our board, us with our lawyers, across boards. I just want to make sure that momentum is maintained on this and that we are moving toward solution. I don't have any feel from a simple project management standpoint. I don't have any feel for who's doing what, when, what is outstanding from each, what does each board need? Are they not getting what they need? Who's waiting on what? I feel like the five trustees are flying blind on that. And I don't know how we better get up to speed so that we can help move a process along. Are there any ideas on how we can?
I think what I'm going to do is reach out to Dan Spitzer because I know he's in that loop with the other attorneys, at least on the boards. And maybe Dan can just remember, we did have a session with him and he was going to give us some bullet points on things. But maybe he can also just kind of give us the larger picture of where this is with the other boards, because he has been speaking with those attorneys. That might be the fastest way to do it, I'm thinking,
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Anything else, Dan?
No, that was it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Anybody else with a member item? It's late, I know. I think the member item is sleep. Okay. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I will second Lanfear.
Okay. Roll call.
Trustee
th-
Lampier,
There's a Q&A.
Oh, I didn't see that.
it just popped in. Okay, Art Pierce, why does a resident have to review records for answer to questions of the trustees while one trustee cannot read the minutes of other boards for updates on 75 Monroe? I hope I said
I'll
that.
gladly answer that. We've talked about this at several of the last meetings. We have liaisons from the trustees to each of the boards, and part of the responsibility as liaison is to bring information back about what happens at those meetings to the trustees.
Okay.
And that's not happening, and I'm asking for it to happen.
Well, also, I would like to be clear that the HPB board that meets for the purpose of 75 Monroe has not met for the past 2 months and a half, and they sent a letter to the trustees
Yep.
when they finished up. And so we have that, and they have not met since.
Great. And then beyond 75 Monroe, also all the other things that might be of interest to us as trustees. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. We were going to take a roll call here.
Yep. Okay, trustee Lampier,
Aye.
trustee Keating,
Aye.
trustee Stetser,
Aye.
trustee Lightgib,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Hi.
motion passes.
Thanks all.
Thanks, everybody.
Mayor Plummer, I'm gonna call you quick regarding
Yeah.
my personal issue.
Yeah. I wanted to talk. Okay. All right. You guys take care. Thanks, everybody. Give me a buzz, Dorothea.
I
Night.